So, good evening, everyone, judges, Shads, and the parents joining us from everywhere. It's a great pleasure to have this webcast from Lakehead campus here in Thunder Bay. It's our 17th Shad webcast, so we have presented 16 others with many great ideas, and hopefully this one will be as good or even better than all the ones that you have done before. So we'll begin with introducing our judges. So we have first Maneet. So Maneet comes to us from TBT Engineering. TBT Engineering is a premier engineering facility here in northwestern Ontario. They have been doing business here for a long time, very well known, very well established. And Maneet actually is able to find time from his very busy schedule to come with us today. So please welcome Maneet. Next, I have Stephanie. Stephanie Ash comes to us from Firedog Communication. Stephanie is the CEO, President of Firedog Communication. Her specialty is marketing, and she has worked with many global brands in England, France, and Australia. Since its founding in 2003, Firedog Communications has won many awards. Stephanie has also won many awards. It's a pleasure to say she is among the top 20 businesswomen in Canada. So it's a great pleasure having Stephanie here. So thank you. Next, I would like to invite our MC for tonight, Sarah.
So first up we have Sure Shelters. Their vision is to provide dignity and comfort to individuals displaced from the residence by offering a safe, private haven that exceeds basic expectations. Creating not just a shelter, but a home close to home. The product created is a portable and easy-to-build home meant to be installed directly in or next to communities after a disaster called Cody. Please welcome Sure Shelters.
Good luck. Hey, good luck.
Nice to meet you.
That's good luck.
Stephanie, nice to meet you.
Good luck. Hey, good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Good evening. My name is Curtis Collins, and I'm the CEO of Shore Shelters. Today, my colleagues and I will be discussing our product, Cody.
Good evening. My name is Vivid Ma, and I am the Director of Sales and Marketing at Sure Shelters. Before we begin, I would like to introduce you to our astounding team. From right to left, we have Brianna Heel, Secretary, Max Bradford, Head Engineer, Thomas Duquette, Chief Design and Technical Officer, Taylor Kahn, Design Technician, Sarah Choi, Investor, Coyote Newell, Investor, Chelsea Greenham, Director of Human Resources, Jeffrey Roeder, Director of Finance, and last but not least, Kaya Jackson, another one of our investors. At Sure Shelters, it is our mission to provide dignity and comfort to individuals displaced from their residence by offering a safe, private haven that exceeds basic expectations, creating not just a shelter, but a home close to home.
Cody is a compact shelter system that eliminates many transportation issues and limits the threats of theft, spread of disease, and assault in shelter environments.
The inspiration for our product came from one of our close friends who was affected by the Fort McMurray fire in 2016. More than 88,000 people were evacuated from their homes and forced to leave. Our friend's home, as well as thousands of others, was destroyed in the fire, and they were forced to move to Newfoundland all the way across the country. Imagine yourself in that situation, forced to leave everything you know and love behind.
The Cody is designed around the idea of providing a sturdy but transportable shelter. It is durable due to the materials used to build it. The walls and the roof will be constructed out of fiberglass because of its extraordinary strength and resilience to fire, wind, and water. The floor will be made out of medium-density fiberboard and linoleum due to its abilities to be waterproof, retain heat, and because it looks like a regular home, providing comfort to the inhabitants. In addition, the bed can also double as a couch, further providing the illusion of home to those who might be in the shelter for long periods of time. To further ensure the inhabitants' comfort, the walls are interchangeable, making the Cody modular. This means that the Cody can be Cody could be essentially remade to create larger living spaces for people who might need it like a big family. A 25-watt solar panel is also attached to the Cody's roof. This can be used in the aftermath of a disaster to charge phones, use small electrical appliances, and to light up the Cody itself. The dimensions of the floor plan of the Cody are 7 feet 10 inches by 7 feet 10 inches, providing an entire workable area of around 55 square feet in the Cody. To provide protection against unwanted intruders and the elements, the Cody's door will be lockable. In addition, the entire structure will be off the ground, supported by feet, in order to prevent damage and sinkage from water. In addition, this can also be used to help balance the Cody on uneven terrains. The Cody is also only around 300 pounds, making this plausible for about 2 to 3 people to lift this right off the transport truck instead of requiring specialized materials. At this point, it can simply be made into the shelter.
So, the Cody is a private environment, which means that people are very safer and less exposed to potential predators and issues that the typical shelters have. The materials of the Cody are sturdy and can protect the people that are inside from unwanted visitors or from the elements. The product's door is equipped with a lock which will let the people that are inside to keep their belongings safe and themselves safe as well.
Additionally, our shelter will be long-term, potentially supporting people from multiple months to years. This will alleviate the issues that people have after a disaster of being required to rent out an apartment or hotel room, bunk with family for years, or in the case of the story that we built the Cody off of, simply move away from their home. This will also help with indigenous peoples who might not like moving off their traditional lands.
So to begin, I would like to mention that we are totally aware that there are free shelters available for the organization that we will be selling our product to. However, these shelters are insecure. They are lots of people in a small amount of space, and it is hard for police officers to enforce the law. It is therefore a propitious environment for the spread of disease, or for people to commit crimes such as rape, theft, and many more crimes that are also recorded. Additionally to that, the Red Cross can only provide 1 to 3 nights in a shelter for a family of 4 people. That is not a lot of time to help your family find a home. Our Cody will solve all of those problems by providing a secure, durable, and private shelter to the people in need. Cody is a long-term shelter, being able to provide shelter not only for a few days, not only for a few weeks, not only for a few months, but for a few years as well, without any problems. Cody can also be private or collective, as my coworker said. We can connect them together depending on the needs of the situation and of the people living in it.
In the coming years, Sure Shelter hopes to make Cody available to all people affected by natural disasters by reaching out to natural disaster relief agencies, municipalities, and humanitarian organizations. In the first year of operations, we hope to sell 556 units and establish 15% of our target market. In the future, we hope to reach out to new companies and demographics, such as the international market, First Nations communities, and people interested in living off-grid and in tiny homes.
So I will be discussing the company structure. So Sure Shelters, we're will operate as a corporation, given the multiple benefits we will be able to leverage by incorporating. One of the most important will be limited liability, which we will afford ourselves by incorporating, meaning that our personal assets will be protected. As well as being incorporated usually leads to an increase of the capital available to the company, as banks are more likely to loan money at a more favorable rate to companies that are incorporated. And lastly, being incorporated also allows us to take advantage of the lower corporate tax rate, which exists for corporations. So our company will be owned as any corporation by the shareholders and our equity owning partners. And the original shares of the company will be divided equally among our 11 team members, giving each member 9.09% of the company. Of course, if we are to bring in future investors into the company, we will have to dilute our shares, and we are prepared to do that. So this is our current organizational structure. We have Curtis, our president and CEO, as chief of our board of directors, and we have 5 other directors who will sit on the board. Otherwise, we have our affiliate investors there, and then we have our head engineer, myself, the design technician, and then our 2 warehouse laborers. In the future, we plan to bring on more employees in the sectors of finance, human resources, and marketing to help sell the product. But this is our current structure as of our startup date.
Okay, so I'll be talking about marketing. So starting off with a statistic, there has been found that over 100 people have evacuated their homes due to numerous different types of natural disasters in Canada. And since the vast majority of natural disasters cause people to move out of their area, we thought that an efficient and an effective relief shelter system would be critical for this. So moreover, 378,000 to 590,000 people have reported that they, quote, they had no one to rely on for post-disaster shelter assistance. This suggests how much we need this, and also we have to enforce different sheltering methods to people who actually report themselves that they say that they need more shelter assistance, which is why we think this is so imperative for the safety and well-being of many. This is just a graph describing the number of natural disasters that occurred in Canada, and this is calculated over the year of 2000 to 2004, and obviously these numbers have increased in recent years. So what are some trends and outlooks regarding this shelter industry? Well, from 2013 to 2018, there's been an average annual growth of 3% in this industry, and we think that this percentage growth is very vital to consider because it's a direct reflection of the growing need for emergency accommodation in Canada. Also, through extensive research, we found that the supply for these relief shelters are not yet meeting the demand. A few factors limiting the advancement and development of relief shelters are, one, the difficulty of the logistics surrounding design and construction, right? So what we mean by this is that we know that companies are often not willing to invest the long and tedious work and time that they have to put in order to actually construct a very effective design for relief shelters, and we find that it is often put to the side. And second, though, we thought that there was a lack of environmental, economic, and social sustainability. Overall, we know that there isn't an ideal design right now in the market in the status quo, which is why we think Cody could be a great option, and it has great potential for its probable and very effective benefits.
Sure Shelters will use a direct distribution approach to sell the Cody to our consumers. This method provides a strong foundation to build consumer trust as we are able to directly market our product to the consumer. Direct distribution will also prevent a loss of profit through price markups that would occur if we sold through intermediaries. Our primary target market will be Canadian emergency agencies, which includes a variety of agencies on a federal, national, and provincial level. Our secondary target market will expand to non-governmental organizations, NGOs, including the Red Cross, the Disaster Recovery Institute of Canada, and the Manitoba Emergency Measures Organization. We will begin by targeting the municipalities located near our headquarters in Winnipeg, Manitoba. This will allow us to minimize transportation costs while also establishing Cody's market presence. Sure Shelters will begin promoting our product by giving select organizations and communities in need of shelters, for example, those with large populations of refugees or homeless citizens, free trials of the Cody shelter for 2 to 3 weeks. During the trial period, Sure Shelters will send out staff to demonstrate the assembly process of the Cody and also to observe and collect data on potential improvements to our Cody shelters. The executive team at Sure Shelters has agreed to tour on a voluntary and unpaid basis elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools across Canada's most disaster-prone areas to raise awareness about coping with the aftermaths of disaster and, of course, about the Cody. The tour will feature small interactive figurine models of the Cody, which will allow us to demonstrate to young students the ease in which the Cody can be assembled. Cody will make public appearances through trade shows like the FCM on a yearly basis to build connections with municipal and government leaders.
In addition, Sure Shelters plans to maintain a presence on social media. Through Facebook and Twitter, we will customate customer relations and brand recognition. We also have a website that provides information about our product and access to buy it. All of these will be places for communities and the people who live in them to learn more about our product or to contact us with anything they'd like to know.
So let's talk a bit about finance. So as already mentioned, Sure Shelters is hoping to partner with organizations like Red Cross and other emergency relief organizations, as well as municipalities. So for our initial startup funds, we are hoping to receive a $500,000 grant. This is from the Business Bureau of Canada. As well, we are all 11 founding members will personally invest $1,000 to help get the company off the ground.
We also plan to apply for grants such as the Western Innovation Initiative and the Commercialization Support for Business programs.
So the use of these funds. A lot of these funds are going to be going to our employees. So for example, $205,685 will be paid for the salaries of our employees. As well, the senior management will be compensated in direct company equity. And the total expected legal and accounting fees are $13,450. So the price of our product. The price of materials in order to manufacture one unit has been appraised to about $14,088.86. And due to this moderate manufacturing cost, the Cody will be sold at $2,000. And this has a profit margin of 25.6% per unit sold.
Due to the moderate production cost of the Cody, this product will be sold at a high markup price. Unfortunately, Sure Shelters and Cody will not be able to break even within the first 3 years of operations due to the high startup costs, and we have to pay back the loan as well from the Business Bureau of Canada. However, by watching the trend in sales, Cody is projected to break through within the 4th year. Now, as you can see through the break-even analysis prediction here, the number of units that we are required to sell is relatively high compared to what we will sell. But as the years progress, the numbers become significantly smaller and more achievable.
Hello again. So the materials needed to construct the Cody will include fiberglass solar panels, the doors, the windows, the beds, the flooring, and the insulation. All of this, as we have said, will cost $1,488 per unit. And the cost of our warehouse laborers in which to construct the product and then ship it out will, in salaries will be $82,000 a year.
Our suppliers. The roofing, walls, and insulation will be ordered from Home Depot, the flooring from madeinchina.com, the linoleum from Home Hardware, the solar panels will be supplied by Canadian Tire, the window and door both from Alibab, and lastly, the beds are from Amazon.
Due to Cody's ability to collapse, it doesn't need packaging when it's transported. The roof and the floor, when the product is collapsed, provide the covering. Since the material is designed to be durable and resistant to elements, it provides a suitable protection from the elements. When collapsed, the shelter is compact and designed to so that it can be quickly and efficiently transported from the production site to where it needs to be in the event of a natural disaster. The units can stack on top of each other, and the size is specifically set so that it can fit well inside of a transport truck or shipping crate.
Key marketing segments. We start by looking at the total addressable market, which in our case is North American emergency relief organizations and municipalities within North America. There are approximately 25,673 potential buyers in this market. Next, we will narrow it down to the served addressable market. This will be emergency relief organizations and municipalities within Canada specifically. There are roughly 3,706 buyers in this market. Lastly, we will narrow it down even further to the serviceable, attainable market. So, however much of these markets we plan to reach, which in our case will be 30% is our goal. The market size we can potentially capture is 1,112 buyers.
Focusing on strengths. So our Cody system has a shelf life of 20 years. It is versatile and potential to be customized to meet the consumer's needs and wishes, such as a kitchen unit, first aid unit, and so on. It can collapse to 1.5 feet, and this provides ease of transportation, and it's very lightweight. It's easily assembled and can be assembled in under 10 easy steps by 2 to 3 adults. And lastly, as you may have heard, it's lockable and it provides that privacy feature, and it has a sense of ease of mind for the inhabitants.
And so, in the last few weeks, Sure Shelter has reached out to the public and gathered testimonies from disaster victims. And again, we heard that shelter has been a main problem faced by these people. I'd like to read for you a quote that we've gathered from one of these testimonies. "Losing that sense of community when we needed it the most was one of the hardest experiences of my life, and I will never forget it. This is why Cody is such a crucial product for those who have been affected by natural disasters. People need shelter, but more than that, people need a home, and that is what we at Sure Shelter aim to provide. Thank you."
So, any questions from the judges?
Sure. I always write a lot of questions. I don't know how long do we have?
Oh, you have one there.
Okay.
Feel free to ask them.
So first of all, where did the name come from? Cody, what does it mean?
So Cody, the name is actually based off of Kodis, which is Finnish for the word home. So one of our members has a Finnish background, so we based it off of that.
And why did you select your CEO? How did that happen?
We actually did like a vote. So many of you might not know like Curtis. He has many much experience with like health organizations.
So I'm very active in my Memorial University of Newfoundland's med school. I'm very active with science fairs, and I did private research alongside the Dean of Biomedical Sciences in Memorial University, and I provided my research and presented it, regionally, provincially, and internationally. So those were some qualifications that made me stood out, and the team recognized them and voted me as the CEO.
So it was a democratic process.
Yeah.
I see. Interesting. When you mentioned having your headquarters in Manitoba, I didn't quite understand the rationale for that. So would someone like to explain that to me?
Because Manitoba is relatively Because Manitoba is relatively in the middle of the country, we've figured out, since we want to expand hopefully nationally, that it would be easier to transport to Ontario, to BC, to the Atlantic provinces, and also to up north and the territories. So it's that center that we can sprawl out and reach the general population of Canada.
So you're all relocating to Manitoba?
Excellent job, everyone. I want to say, first of all, what a great job you did on the presentation. I know public speaking is never easy. Jumping into my first question, I see here in your presentation or your plan, you mentioned that each Cody unit could accommodate 2 to 3 adults depending on size and space availability, depending on how they customize their units. My question is, for a larger family, let's say somebody has 3 to 4 teenage kids, you get into buying more modular stacks for their Cody's, and you're looking at $2,000 a Cody. How do families afford that? Or how do they get around some of those costs?
Okay. So our first mission is to provide these to Red Cross and other natural disaster organizations. So we feel that the cost of the Cody will pay itself out because we don't need to inhabit a gym and take away the resources of a church in a neighboring community. We have a separate system. So eventually it pays itself out by not having to stay in another community and drain their resources. And regarding the additional services for bigger families. I know our design corporation, they talked about hopefully expanding our module. So right now we have a base module, and this is what we are using as a start. And then we also have a trial system. So by giving our base module to different communities as a trial, we can get feedback from them. And from this, we can incorporate what they want, the specific needs of the actual users. So we can create a kitchen module or a first aid module for healthcare and so on. So hopefully we can use this module to branch out to provide those services for the concerns that you addressed.
Excellent.
And to further that and address the cost that you mentioned, so we looked into portable trailers so that you can drive around in tow, and we looked at that, and the price range for that is between $10,000 and $30,000. So in comparison to that, our shelter is much more affordable for the average family.
Going into my next question, for your national tour, why did you pick elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools, since that's not necessarily your target market that you're trying to hit?
So we figured, as you can see, that youth are the key to our future, and enhancing our knowledge and moving up further, we need to implement these basic knowledge and skills within our youth. So we also mentioned in our tours that we're going to give basic information, not only advertising our product, which we feel the kids can then go home and tell their parents about it. I'm sure many of the appliances we have in our house today, such as TVs, etc., came from our kids. Our kids wanted it, and then our adults loved it and use it often. So we can implement the seed as kids. It'll not only stick as they grow older, but the word will eventually spread, especially with kids using social media these days. So we feel that we can get it out on social media and into the kids. We can definitely do really good with marketing and promoting our product.
Wonderful. And I do have a third question. I saw in your SWOT analysis, your unit is actually priced a little bit more than the IKEA competitor. So I'm wondering how in your market analysis you get around that competitive edge, or how do you create yourself a competitive edge, considering your unit is a little bit more than the IKEA unit?
So in our positioning, which you can't really see, but we have a positioning graph, you can see that our quality is higher than the IKEA quality, which is what enhances our cost. So fiberglass is very sustainable and eco-friendly because it's renewable and it can be reused and recycled, obviously. So we think with the way the world's going with global warming, etc., having sustainable options like this is maybe the cost may be higher, but in the long run, you want a higher cost than not a planet at all. So that's how we see that's how we equal it out in our heads.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have a comment, actually, a final comment. Where was it now? One of my comments actually was related to your price point, and my only advice to you is that I thought you were actually underpriced. Given the quality of your product and the materials and the labor costs, I think that you could charge a higher price point. $2,000 is not very much. I can probably buy a tent for $2,000. And being a niche product like that with a limited market base, really, and it's a product that you're saying is going to last 20 years, that's a very low price to me for something that I could potentially buy for 20 years and reuse over and again. So you may want to look at that, and profitability is going to be the key to your business success, getting there a little faster. Maybe if I order a lot of units from you, then you give me the $2,000 per unit rate, but if I'm buying 5 or 10 units, then I would be charging a higher price per unit for sure. A great job overall.
Thank you.
Well done, guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
I like that you hit on that, because I was actually asking them why they price themselves higher than IKEA, because I wanted to hear the reason for it, right? And then you said,
Soteria, an evacuation system. This idea was inspired by one of the members' personal experiences in the Fort McMurray wildfire evacuation. Their vision is to provide support to Canadians affected by natural disasters by focusing on the safety of the people. Please welcome Soteria.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good luck.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
nice to
you.
meet you, good luck.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, good luck. Nice to meet you, good luck. Hey, good luck. Nice to meet you, good luck. Hey, nice to meet you, good luck. Nice to meet you, good luck. Nice to meet you, good luck. Hey, good luck.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to start off by thanking you for volunteering your time to judge our Shad Cup. It means a lot to us. My name is Jacqueline Kirby and I am the CEO of Soteria. Our company is made up of 11 intelligent young entrepreneurs who together we have created a product to create resilience in Canadian communities during times of natural disaster. So our mission and vision. Our mission is, of course, to increase or create resilience in Canadian communities in times of a natural disaster. We're going to do this by increasing the efficiency of an evacuation. Our vision is to provide support to the Canadians going through a natural disaster by focusing on their safety. So we had two main inspirations for our product. The experiences of one of our team members, Esther, who was a victim of the Fort McMurray wildfire. She was separated from her family for 2 months. And when talking to her, one of the major issues to do with the disaster was the evacuation. It was chaotic, stressful, and inefficient. So we turned to the biomimicry of ants as an example for our product, and it's what we kind of based it off of, because ants communicate and organize themselves in such an amazing way, even though there's millions of ants in a single colony. So I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Tyler, to introduce the rest of us.
Thank you, Jacqueline. My name is Tyler Hiscock, and I'm the Vice President of Soteria. Today, I will be discussing the management of our company. To start off, I would like to introduce our amazing team. First off, we have Jacqueline Kirby. She's 15 years old from Fairview, Alberta. She's the President/CEO of our company. Jacqueline oversees all management. She will find ways to implement short and long-term objectives of the company, as well as overseeing day-to-day activities. As I just mentioned, my name is Tyler Hiscock, and I'm a 17-year-old student from Trouty, Newfoundland. I'm the Vice President of Soteria. I'm Jacqueline's second in command and the senior officer of the organization, with my main goal being to implement the agenda and deal with department specifics. Next, we have Esther Oguntuashe, and she's 16 years old from Fort McMurray, Alberta. She's our Director of Human Resources. She supervises and provides consultation on management, on strategic planning, compensation, benefits, training and development, budgeting, and labor relations. Next, we have Jing Duogao. He's 16 years old from Gatineau, Quebec. He's our Director of Finance. So Jing establishes financial policies, procedures, systems, and develops our financial plans. Naya Schaefer is 15 years old from Barrie, Ontario. She's our Head of Advertising and Design. She designs and oversees advertisements and campaign launches for our company. Next, we have Roy Lee. He's 15 years old from Mississauga, Ontario. He's our software manager here at Soteria, and he develops and maintains the Soteria Touch app, which he will reference later in the presentation. Titi Appa is from Portage, La Prairie. She's 17 years old, and she's the head of marketing here at Soteria. She provides service leadership related to marketing and communication of the business. Andrew Jin from Port Moody, BC, is a 17-year-old student and our product manager here at Soteria. He develops the product and future products of our company, as well as determines the specifications such as the materials that we use in our products. Rachel Rufo, 17, Markham, Ontario, is our secretary here at Soteria. She records minutes for our board and management meetings, filing and handling official documents, and other basic secretarial duties. Here at Soteria, we also have two investors, Justin Shimchuk and Sarah Piercy. They're both 16 years old. Justin is from Toronto, Ontario, and Sarah is from Oromocto, New Brunswick. Their role is to make investments in our company, and this allows them to vote on the board of directors and management. So now that I've introduced my lovely team of colleagues, I will lightly touch on the subject of ownership and legal structure. Soteria will be incorporating immediately. Due to the type of product Soteria is, incorporating is the best option. This will protect Soteria's personal assets and give Soteria additional credibility and name protection. Incorporating will also increase tax flexibility and deductible expenses. With our long-term objective being our product to be installed in municipalities across the country, Soteria needs to be protected. In terms of legal structure, Soteria in its current operational form is operating as a non-profit organization. Our funds must be raised from the public because Soteria is a legal entity with a main goal to serve and engage the public interest. However, in order to raise funds from the public, we must register with an office to agree on all legal terms. I'll hand it over to Andrew, who will discuss our product itself.
Thank you, Tyler. My name is Andrew, and I'll be talking about the product today. So our product is basically, just imagine two horseshoes, and then on one end, they're bound by one axle. And this product will be kind of put up on a light post, and will be put up roughly around 9 feet above the base. And with that comes a 9x9 LED screen that will be horizontally split in two. The first one will be lit blue, and it will indicate the direction of safety and the route of evacuation, and direct people safely through blue arrows. And it's interchangeable so that it would show direction. On the bottom will be a red X, and this will indicate danger or a potential natural disasters such as wildfire or floods. And basically our customers will avoid at all costs that route as well. So it's sort of like a GPS as well. With it, behind our product will be the electricals, and with that we implemented a Wi-Fi system which is wireless and independent to the city's grid, and a battery as well that's independent of the city in case the battery or the electrical grid does go out, in which most cases it do. And since our app and our product have this duality and in partnership, we've used the Wi-Fi system to pair these together and make our evacuation for our customers more calm and more kind of, I guess, more ordered. And next, I'll be talking about the materials that we have implemented into our product. So we've chose to use plastic, and why plastic? Our initial thoughts were to use aluminum, and the advantage of aluminum is that it has a high heat capacity, and it could sustain high temperatures, in such as an example as a forest fire. But unfortunately, our electricals will not be able to cope with that type of heat. Therefore, we use plastic, and plastic is much cheaper and more lightweight and will reduce the costs. Therefore, these plastic and electricals will eventually die at the same time, therefore reducing these costs. And as well, we have implemented silicon to the inner kind of layer of our product, and this will increase this force of friction to allow our product to stay up and be more sustainable and stable on this light post. And that's basically pretty much it about the product, and I'll hand it over to Roy, who will talk about the app. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Roy. I'm the software manager at Soteria. We have created a mobile app that users can download for free on all platforms, including but not limited to Android and iOS. We understand that there are some people, albeit rather few, who prefer lesser-known operating systems. So we have made an effort to support as many platforms as possible, including BlackBerry and Windows. So the homepage of the app offers information about our product and team and explains all the features in depth. The app comes with 4 main features. The first feature is an emergency checklist that users can complete so they are fully prepared and ready to evacuate as soon as disaster strikes. The second feature the app offers is a monthly maintenance checkup that helps users to reduce the risk of disaster starting in their own homes. It will send users notifications every month, reminding them to complete the tasks. So our app has 2 modes, normal mode and emergency mode. Emergency mode will automatically activate in the event of a disaster, unlocking the 2 other features. In the case of an emergency, users will be able to connect to local radio stations to receive live updates on the state of the disaster. The app will also connect users with insurance companies so they will be able to recuperate from their losses subsequent to the catastrophe. Finally, we also have a website that contains a wealth of information about our product and team, complete with many helpful links related to Soteria. So I'll be passing on to my colleague Justin.
Hello, my name is Justin. I'm going to be talking about the location of our facilities and warehouses. So when choosing a location for our facilities and warehouses, we looked for 2 main things. The first thing we looked for was how close it was to all the provinces, because we wanted a location that we could easily distribute to both the West Coast and the East Coast in terms of natural disasters. The second thing we looked for was cost. So we wanted to see which government, provincial government, had the least amount of taxes for raw resources and also for intermediate goods when creating the product. So in the end, we decided to put our facilities and warehouses in Edmonton, Alberta, because it had the lowest tax rate, and also because it's closer to central Canada, so that we can easily ship to the prairies, but also ship to the East Coast. And now I will be giving the presentation off to Esther.
Hello, my name is Esther Oguntuashe, and I am the manager of the Human Resources. The forest fire known as the Beast caused up to $9 billion of damage, ruining over 2,400 homes and buildings, and forcing over 88,000 people to evacuate. There's 3 phases in evacuation that are very important. The first phase is a recommended. A recommended evacuation means that it's recommended for you to leave your home or building because there is a potential natural disaster in your surrounding communities. The second phase of a natural disaster is a mandatory evacuation. This means the natural disaster is in the community and it's mandatory for you to evacuate for your own personal safety. The third phase of evacuation is a forced evacuation. This happens when the natural disaster is in the community and it has the potential to harm you in many ways. So it'd be very nice if you could evacuate. Next slide, please. Market research. Over a quarter of people affected by natural disasters must evacuate their homes. 2 out of 5 Canadians have been affected by a natural disaster. However, the inability to use roads during a natural disaster is a big issue. To combat this is where Soteria comes in hand. Because Soteria is recalculated and reprogrammed, if a route has a flood or a forest fire, it will recalculate this road to the most safest and fastest route. Customer validation. We aim to target municipalities with an increased risk for natural disasters, and we'll reach this demographic through targeted and advertisements. Municipalities often fail to execute these evacuations because they don't do it in the proper manner. But through Soteria, we can combat this situation. Next, I'll be handing it over to my colleague, Titi Apa.
Good evening, judges. My name is Titi Apa. I'm the head of marketing. Today I'll be going over the SWOT analysis for our product. So the strengths of our product consist of the fact that it is very versatile and simple for the general public to use. We basically use an adaptation of a regular traffic light so that it's easy for most consumers to understand. It is relatively cheap to produce. and it is easy to install and is very economical for cities and municipalities to buy. Our product does not rely on the city's traditional Wi-Fi or power. It operates on its own power, and hence it works very well in conjunction with our app. Our only competition currently would be with government organizations. The weaknesses that are incurred from this product is the fact that the cost for the manufacturers to develop this software. We can combat this with future research and development on the product. As well, Soteria could potentially be destroyed in a wildfire. Even though it has the potential to be destroyed, our goal for this product is to evacuate people out of the area. So emergency services have the ability to come in quicker. Hence, they can put out the fire faster. So less of our product has the potential to be destroyed. And even if it is destroyed, it can easily be replaced. The opportunity that exists with this product is the fact that we can in future partner with governmental organizations. So this will increase our market size and in turn increase our sales. Lastly, we have our threats. So one of our main threats is keeping the program safe from hackers, which we can do by developing the software with future research and development. I will now be passing over the presentation to Sarah to go over the trends and outlooks.
Hi, I'm Sarah Piercy. I'm going to be going over the trends and outlooks. So if you see the trends here, forest fires are going to increase in the future because of global warming, and as you can see the red lines, they will be like severely increasing. Next slide. And I'm also going to be going over the market analysis. So when we analyzed the industry size, we noticed that both wildfires and floods are the most prevalent natural disasters in Canada, and they cause the most issues. And approximately 8,000 wildfires occur in Canada each year, and flooding is getting worse and worse every year because of global warming. And we looked at the economic trends, and the Canadian economy grew 3.1% in 2017 and is going to grow 2.2% in 2018. Now for our competition, we do have government organizations, but in the future we're planning on partnering with these government organizations. So instead of being in competition with them, we're going to be partnering up with them to reach a common goal. And we also potentially have telephone companies who would be phoning people during an emergency situation. Now, we'll be positioning ourselves mainly to target municipal governments because those will be the ones who will be implementing our product. And for our app, we're going to be targeting the individual citizens of those municipal governments who have. So for our distribution, we want our product to be distributed directly to the consumer from our warehouses because it's really important to us that we preserve the relationship between our company and each community. And we also want to lower the price as much as possible for these communities. And so for communities that are very close to our facilities, we're going to be delivering these by truck because they're the fastest and most efficient. And for those that are further away, when possible, we'll be using trains because they're the most economic. But if there are communities that are more isolated, whether they're up north or on islands or far away from main rail lines, we're going to be using air to deliver them. And now I'm going to be passing it on to my colleague Naya.
Hello, my name is Naya Schaefer. I'm head of advertising and design here at Soteria. So here you can see what our website is going to look like. As previously mentioned, our website will have useful links for our consumers as well as information about our product and our app, but also about our company, our initiatives, and our goals. As well, people can sign up for our periodical e-newsletter, which is free, where they can not only learn about these things, but they can also receive periodical tips on how they can remain safe both before and during a natural disaster. For advertising, we are going to advertise both digitally and physically. For physical advertisements, with the launch of our product, we are going to be kicking off a countrywide campaign beginning in Fort McMurray, Alberta. Going hand in hand with this campaign will be a fundraiser, where part of the proceeds will go back towards rebuilding communities who have been destroyed by wildfires and floods. After this campaign is ended, which will be about a year and a half after it has begun, we will begin to send representatives out to municipal and provincial governments so that they can talk to government officials about our product and how it will save lives. For digital advertising, we will be advertising on many platforms of social media, predominantly Facebook as seen with these ads. These ads will not only inform our consumers about our product and our app, but also encourage them to go to their government and ask for this system to be installed where they live. Now to talk about finances, I'm going to be passing it over to my colleague Jing.
So, before we're talking about finances, it was just a small information graph. Basically, the red dots showed where the wildfires were prone in North America, and the blue dots really just showed where the floods were occurring in North America. Here it is, right now. So now let's talk about finances. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the people of the internet. My name is Jing Gao. I'm the Director of Finance at the Soteria Company. So first of all, I'd like to talk about how the cost will be broken down for our company. Our company has determined that the cost of production for each unit of Soteria Guiding Light will be of $55. And we have decided at Soteria of selling them at $100 per unit. And this basically gives us a profit of $45. And at the consumer's end, they'll be paying $110. And the extra $10 will cover the shipping and transportation fees. Next slide, please. And I'm going to talk briefly about the financial plan for the 3 years. So on the 3 years, the average revenue for annual revenue will be of $2 million. As for the net income, it will be of $900,000. But disclaimer alert, this is per year, and the first year will actually have a net loss, whereas this year 2 and year 3 will actually have a net income. And as to conclude the financial priority for the 3 years, I'd like to talk about the estimated average number of Soteria Guiding Lights units per sold per year, which totals around at 20,000 units per year. Now I'd like to invite Rachel, who will discuss about the future product of the Soteria company.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm the Secretary of Soteria, and I'll be telling you about some of our future products. The first one that we would like to come up with is Soteria Oracle, and Soteria Oracle is a mobile version of our Soteria product that would be installed in cars on the dashboard, similar to a GPS. And this would have 3 lights that would tell people which direction to go at an intersection, as well as an echolocation sensor in case of low visibility. For example, during a forest fire, smoke can make it hard for a driver to follow the evacuation plan. However, the echolocation sensor would help direct drivers on the safest evacuation route. The other product that we would like to work with self-driving car companies to create is the Soteria Chariot program. And this would be self-driving cars that have our Soteria evacuation system installed in them. So in case of a natural disaster, the cars would be able to carry people to safety. And one of the advantages of this is that these self-driving cars don't have human error. For example, during a natural disaster, somebody trying to drive away from the disaster may panic, they may be really nervous, but a self-driving car would not have these issues. I would like to invite Jacqueline back up.
Thank you. So we reached out to the fire chief of Lesser Slave Lake Regional Fire Services to get a better idea of if they would use our product, if it was something that was actually viable. And he said he was very interested in our product and that having experience being part of the massive evacuations of Slave Lake and Fort McMurray, that evacuations are one of the most prominent problems when it comes to a natural disaster. They can be some of the most important parts too, because it's all about the safety of the people and getting them out in time. So, how do we create resilience in Canadian communities affected by natural disasters? We do this by focusing on the people and their safety, and how to get them out in a fast and efficient way, but also making sure that they're safe and secure in the process. This will reduce chaos that is often ensued by a evacuation. It will also allow first responders to deal with the natural disaster much more efficiently and faster because they don't have to deal as much with the evacuation then. A community is the people, and the people are what matter, and that's what our product focuses on. We want to get them out safe, and we also want to keep communities and families together to not repeat the mistakes that were made in past evacuations such as Fort McMurray. So this is how our evacuation system creates resilience. And that is why Soteria is your guiding light. Thank you for your time.
Good job, guys.
Such a gentleman with those ladies here. Great presentation, guys. Very well thought out, and really nice job on your business plan. A couple of questions that I have for you. So explain to me the difference in your marketing strategy when it comes to targeting the municipality versus a household. So for me, I kind of got lost a little bit on the messaging with that piece of it, whether you're going directly to consumer to install this in their home and to have an app, or that you're going to a municipality directly. So I just want a little bit more explanation on that.
I'd like to call Naya for that, since she's the head of marketing and advertising.
So the answer to your question is actually both, but we are going to be marketing separate parts to different people. So the actual Soteria system itself is installed onto light posts, and so we would have to go to municipal and provincial governments to get them to install it in cities and towns. However, individuals, once the system is installed in their city or town, they can download the app to connect with the system. And so we are advertising to both. As well with advertising to the individual, we can prompt them to go to their municipal and provincial government to ask for this product. So we can have our consumers working for us, basically. Did that answer your question?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
My next question is related to, I know you're young, and in your demographic, everybody knows about apps and how to download apps. So unfortunately, some of us, I think I'm pretty savvy, but there's a lot of people still who are not mobile savvy, they're not technology savvy, and or they don't have the means to be. Whether it's because of where they live or their economic status. So how would you make sure this product doesn't discriminate, let's say, against different populations?
I can answer that one.
Okay.
Well, you don't necessarily need the app. It's just something that's for the people in the municipalities that do have this. It's like a little extra thing to help people feel like they have more control over the evacuation. But it's not necessary, because if the evacuation system is installed, there's the sirens and the lights that go with it. So it's not necessarily needed, so it doesn't really put them at a huge disadvantage. Does that answer?
Yeah, thank you. And then my last question would be, what kind of research did you do related to how many units a municipality would have to buy based on the size of the community? Do I need one of these per street, 10 per street? Like, how does that work?
All right, so I'm actually quite excited to answer this question. So we actually went and did some search on Google, and we actually found out that the distance between each lamppost was about 50 meters. And we actually went and further inspected for the numbers of municipalities in Canada and how much road the total Canada covered. So basically we found out there was about 3,700 municipalities currently, according to one source, that said there was that much numbers of municipalities in Canada. And we went to the other one and found out there was about 3,700,000 kilometers of road inside cities. That does not count for the highways. So if you divide the numbers of kilometers by the numbers of municipalities, basically that gives you about a rough estimate of 100 kilometers in average of road per municipality. So if you take this 100 kilometer road per municipality, and you basically say, oh, we need to place one every 50 meters, you'll find out you need to place 20 per kilometers. You times it by 100, that's 2,000 per 100 kilometer. So we're based on the assumption that we'll be probably making about 2,000 sales per month, due to the fact that certain municipalities will ask them for first, and the other one will more or less say, I'm going to ask them for a later one. But this was really the average, the model, so this was really based on 2,000 units of Soteria guiding light per municipality. And we said, right now we're starting business, probably not a lot, we'll try and adventure with us, so we expect to have one municipality about every 1 month. So this is how we actually calculated the revenue as well as the cost for the Soteria company. Did that answer your question?
It sure did. Thank
All right.
you.
Welcome.
And so then some parting pieces of advice. So actually, based on what you just said, I would also add to your service proposition consulting services for municipalities, because you will usually find that a municipality doesn't have the human resources or expertise to do this kind of work. So you could offer that as a service, as well as perhaps an installation arm of the company that goes in and does install and testing. And then from a marketing perspective, one of the things I would suggest is, instead of going countrywide for your marketing campaign, not only is that very expensive for a year and a half to market nationally, but it's kind of like throwing a lot of balls at the wall and hoping something sticks. So I would go much more targeted, pick out some key communities that you think are really high potential for this product, and work with that municipality very closely, very directly, get their testimonial, get their success story, and then how it usually works with municipalities is, if there's a best practice, then they'll copy other municipalities who have a success story, and that's how your brand will grow and your business will grow.
Excellent. First of all, great job, everyone. I know public speaking is very difficult, so I want to commend you all on a job well done. Going into my first question, I'm gonna kind of take what Stephanie said and kind of move forward with that. So you said you estimated approximately 20,000 units per year you'd estimate to sell, and I understand some of the logic behind that now. And I'm just wondering if maybe, as Stephanie suggested, maybe you set your sights too low with that 20,000 estimate.
So I'd like to answer this question by using a method in accounting. So in accounting, what we do is we really want to do everything more or less in the pessimist side. You want to lower your net income as much as possible in order to avoid mistakes. So in order not to brag too much about the company, I was more or less, as a director of finances, I was going to say, okay, so I'm going to be very pessimistic and really think about, okay, this is really what's the worst condition. It's going to be one municipality per month is going to asking us to buy out these. So this is really the lowest thing. If this is really what we expect to have for the first 3 years, if it has more, therefore we already know that we're safe. We're not going to go into bankruptcy in the 4th year. If it goes a little bit low, we know that how it should go. It should go a little bit later. We'll have a small margin to adjust ourselves, to adjust our sales, to adjust how we promote ourselves. And that is the reason why 20,000 seems a little bit low for the first 3 years, but it was done as a strategy to give us margin for both growth as well as to deal with a net loss of these 3 years. Will that answer your question?
Yes.
Right.
My other question is, I didn't hear too much about competitors during your presentation. Have you identified any competitors? And if not really, if your product is so unique that it's like the first to market, then could you justify creating a higher price point and maybe modifying your materials to make it more fire retardant?
Okay. Well, when it came to the competition, that one was kind of a hit and miss because there's not like a specific product that's very similar to ours at all. There are like certain apps, map road apps that could possibly be used for this, but that's not what they're designed for. So in terms of competition, there's not really a lot and nothing very specific. Even when we said government may be a competition, like the procedures that they already have in place, our product can really help them with that. So it's not really competition, it's more working with them then. So it is quite unique in the market, I guess, then. We wanted to keep it lower though, because there are those small towns, like I myself am from a small town, there's not a huge budget for stuff like that. We wanted to make sure that it was going to be affordable for most, if not all, communities in Canada, because we really wanted to give everybody the opportunity to have this, because we really believe it will increase safety. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thank you. And then finally, I just have one more question. I understand you're having a two-pronged marketing method where you're approaching municipalities, governments, and you're also approaching individual consumers. Just to go back to the individual consumers for a second, I know we live in the age of technology and smartphones nowadays. We also noticed that everyone's attention span's getting shorter, and I often find myself deleting a lot of apps that I don't use frequently. And I mean, while wildfires and other natural disasters are getting more and more prevalent, they are still sparse in some parts of the world or some parts of the nation. So how do you continually engage consumers to use these apps and these products when they aren't naturally identifying with these situations on a daily basis?
So you do make a very good point. A lot of people have not that much storage on their phone. They have to pick and choose what they have on their phone. The thing that really gets our users coming back is the monthly checklist within our app, reminding people, okay, every month you have to do this, 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 and this to make sure that your home is safe just in case. And even if this
doesn't quite appeal to them, because many people may choose to ignore it, there's also our advertisements on social media that will keep popping up. Another consideration we had for advertisement that we didn't look into as much, but it's definitely a possibility, is trade shows, which I know a lot of the older generations do go to that too. I'm usually stuck there with my grandparents or my mom and dad following along, and it's not usually for the youth, so that's definitely one way to target an older market too. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, thank you.
Good. Great job.
Great job, everyone. Thank you. Good job. Yeah, of course. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good. The next team of 11 bright and talented individuals have come together to form their company, SOAR. Their product provides a unique and innovative solution to address the devastating effects of natural disasters. SOAR hopes to see a day where all communities across Canada are resilient to natural disasters.
Hey, good luck. Good luck.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Good luck.
Hi, welcome.
Nice to meet
Good
you.
luck. Yeah, you too.
Nice to meet
Good
you.
luck.
Nice to
Good
meet
luck.
you.
Nice
Hey,
to meet you.
you too. Good luck.
Nice to
Good
meet
luck.
you.
Hey, good luck.
Hi, thank you.
Nice to meet you. Good luck. Nice to meet you.
Hi there.
Good evening, honorable panel, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hannah Zhao, and I'm the CEO of SOAR Incorporated. Tonight, standing alongside me are my colleagues and co-founders of SOAR. This is Terry Huang, Kevin Chen, Soham, Alice Ko, Ali Shisco, Jason Hong, Mira McDonald, Shannon Hill, Brianna Scott, and Phillips Shu. Sorry. Tonight, together we're united through our common purpose of hoping to help Canadian communities be more resilient in natural disasters. Particularly, we've noted a large but also largely unsolved problem that we would like to deal with. Currently, because natural disasters occur in irregular and unpredictable manners, uncertain conditions following disasters can cause slow response times. And this means that the most vulnerable civilians, who are often in great distress or injured, are stranded in disaster zones, unaware of what to do and unaware of how they can save themselves and their loved ones. At the best case scenario, these people are greatly distraught, but in certain scenarios, it could be potentially life-threatening. Furthermore, we have key findings to show that indeed, all across the world, natural disasters is a large problem. Annually, due to natural disasters, there are 69,827 annual fatalities, 224 million people affected, and 306 billion Canadian dollars worth of economic damage done across the world. And this number could be as high as $4.9 billion in Canada in just 2016. Thus, our company was founded because we see the dire need for innovation and innovative products in the market to solve these issues. Our mission is to strengthen the resilience of Canadian communities following natural disasters by equipping response teams with the most innovative technology possible. And after a long train of thought, we've came to our product, the Corvus system, which is able to benefit the speed, efficacy, and cost of post-disaster rescue.
The Corvus system is a two-part system that is centralized around an airship and a fleet of drones. The drones are semi-autonomous and focus on search and evacuation. These drones can be deployed by emergency responders in the event of a natural disaster.
So in the event of a natural disaster, our weather and temperature resistant airship will be flown into the disaster struck area and be stationed above ground at an altitude of 400 meters. Our airship include various features such as high-resolution cameras and thermal imaging, which will provide aerial surveillance of the entire affected region. All this information is then processed by an onboard system in order to calculate the optimal route that the victims and the first responders can take. The airship also serves as a docking station for all the drones, which doubles as a charging port for the entire fleet. And in the event that the drones lose connection with the operators, they're programmed to automatically return to the airship.
The Corvus drone is a modified commercial multi-rotor drone, and a standard fleet consists of 24 drones. These drones are equipped with fireproof, waterproof, and a weather-resistant chassis. These drones would be secured to the airship via a magnetic landing gear. Some features the drone include is a flight range of 7 kilometers as well as a battery life of 30 minutes. Some other features it includes is a GPS tracking device which would allow the drone to be monitored as well as tracked by operators. This would also allow the drone to be salvaged if it were to be incapacitated. The drone also includes a built-in thermal camera, which doubles as night vision. The camera would also be able to determine the structural integrity of buildings.
The operators receive live feed of the information collected by the drones, thus allowing them to provide direction and guidance to the victims using a one-way speaker system. Flashing red LEDs are also installed to make the guidance process easier. Of course, as you may expect, all these features limit the flight time of the drones. This is why SOAR recommends the implementation of a form of rotational deployment, where the 24 drones are in a constant pattern of surveillance, guidance, and recharging.
The guidance system the fleet provides maximizes the potential of first responders. Corvus will revolutionize disaster relief by increasing the efficiency of search and rescue, as well as minimizing the risks of putting first responders out on the field.
SOAR plans to outsource these drones through possible companies such as DJI Innovations and also AeroVironment Inc. Our airships will also be outsourced through a manufacturing company in North Carolina. These products will be sent to our storage facilities based in Sudbury, Ontario, where they will undergo modifications to remove all the unnecessary components and to add SOAR's own unique features.
The world has seen immense growth in drone technology and are being made faster than ever. In future, the potential of drones will be realized. They will be implemented for many different purposes. SOAR intends to be the pioneer in utilizing drone technology in post-disaster situations. In immediate future, SOAR will continue to improve the Corvus to develop newer models that have superior base specs. For example, a breakthrough in the battery technology, which will allow better battery and also increase the flight time. Lastly, the market for commercial and civilian drones is expected to grow at a compound rate of 19% from between the year 2015 and 2020. Therefore, the customization of drones will become cheaper and also easier. That means production of drones will become easier, more efficient, and technologically superior.
Now let's talk about our market strategy. So for our target market, we will be targeting 2 main groups. First, non-governmental organizations, and second, municipal governments and their disaster recovery assistance departments. We will be targeting these groups because they are the ones who are providing the direct relief and support to all our post-natural disasters. Currently, geographically, across Canada, there are 10 NGOs who have the same mission and values as we at SOAR do, and 180 major cities that we will be targeting. After evaluating their location, current resources, and likeliness of encountering a natural disaster, some of our target cities are Vancouver, Toronto, and Fort McMurray.
So to develop a comprehensive marketing plan, we first need to look at our pricing strategy and the cost to produce one of these units. So to my left, we have broken down the cost to our airship and our drones, and all in all, it costs about $540,000 to create one system. So with this in mind, we are marketing our product at $799,000.
SOAR hopes to implement a three-pillar promotion strategy so that not only our product would gain traction within our target market, but also within civilians who we're going to be rescuing with our product. Firstly, we hope to implement a nationwide tour to kick off our promotion strategy. This means that we're going to be able to promote our product all across Canada, and civilians who will be rescued, as I mentioned before, by the service is going to be able to gain a greater understanding of our product. Secondly, we hope to exhibit our product at tech expos, and this means that future investors would be incentivized to find our product and to greater understand our product. And moreover, a tech expert would be able to understand and like how our product functions, so that they would be able to be incentivized to further help us develop or invest into our product. And lastly, we want to show live demonstrations across the nation so that both our target market and civilians will be able to better understand the full capabilities of our product. With that said, here's an implementation timeline that you can see. As I previously mentioned, we're going to be kicking off our promotion strategy with the National Airshow Tour. Following that, we're going to do 2 live demos spread out halfway across the year, and then we're going to be attending 4 tech expos throughout the year as well. We hope that through our promotion strategy, we will be able to incentivize future investors or future buyers to visiting our website and directly investing or directly buying our product from there.
Now to introduce more market research. The Corvus will primarily target sectors involved with disaster response. Due to the large cost of our product, we'll be primarily interacting and targeting large-scale NGOs such as the Red Cross alongside municipalities who are willing to allocate their funds towards disaster preparation technology. Nonetheless, there are many products in the market right now that share the same beliefs and goals as SOAR, so ultimately the Corvus will be facing some sort of competition. Nonetheless, as natural disasters become more frequent and more severe due to climate change, this market will grow accordingly. As a result, according to Statistics Canada, over the past year, the Red Cross has allocated over $500 million towards goods and materials in regards to operations, whereas Canada as a whole has invested $900 million to disaster relief efforts. Nonetheless, it's a company goal by the end of the year to have a 2% market share, and as we grow and learn as a company, we hope that we can further introduce the Corvus to NGOs on a more global perspective.
Despite the wide variety of potentials that drone systems have, they are not being utilized to their fullest potential during natural disaster situations. Natural disaster situations are chaotic in nature, so civilians are forced to be stranded in dangerous areas. Civilians are distraught and are confused by the sudden outbreak of events, so they're unaware of the most efficient evacuation route. Currently in the market, there is no solution that effectively guides these civilians out of the disaster-struck areas through centralized and controlled means. Canadian government and NGOs will greatly benefit from our product as we make use of drones' potential uses. By utilizing the potentials that drone systems have, we will increase the efficiency of emergency response operations and ensure safety of civilians who have been affected by natural disaster.
The SWOT analysis is a strategic planning technique used by our company, SOAR, to identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats posed by and to our company. One of the main strengths of our product is that it functions as a centralized unit, increasing its efficiency. This helps achieve fast and effective search and rescue missions, helping victims as well as emergency teams simultaneously. However, the drones can be difficult to maneuver in certain weather conditions, such as high winds and above wildfires. Due to the advanced technology implemented in the drones, it can limit their airtime as well. Some of the opportunities in the market include being able to provide awareness for overlooked environmental issues in Canada, which is mainly targeted to citizens. Due to the continuous development of Corvus, it can be initiated for more purposes, further expanding our product. One of the major threats of the development of sales of Corvus is that there are multiple competitors in the market. Furthermore, there are regulations that limit the ability of Corvus. However, we are confident that through our research, these regulations will not greatly affect Corvus's services.
Now we will talk about our competitive analysis. So there are multiple competitors in the market with similar missions as SOAR. However, no company can compare to our uniquely centralized systems that our product Corvus offers. So one of our direct competitors is the DSLR Pros company that sells unmanned surveillance drones to be used post-natural disaster. They're cost efficient compared to helicopters used in traditional search and rescue efforts, and they offer thermal imaging to help find survivors post-natural disaster. NASA has used this product, and the strength that this product has is its low price and its versatility. Although it lacks in distance and flight time, and that's an area where our product Corvus is really excelling in. Lastly, this product is only sold in the USA, so that opens a nice window of opportunity for marketing in Canada. Moreover, the company Global Medic is a non-for-profit company that has a product called Rescue UAV. It's a drone that offers search and rescue, situational awareness, emergency mapping, and aid in delivery during natural disasters. Although it is different because it is a non-for-profit organization, so it relies on monetary donations from companies and volunteer support. Our company SOAR targets NGOs and municipal governments, and that area is really underutilized at the moment, and we plan to tap into that market with our product.
And I'll be covering our indirect competitors. An indirect competitor to SOAR are the tactical armored vehicles developed for the RCMP's emergency response teams. These vehicles are heavily armored and capable of handling intense situations. They are equipped to carry an entire emergency response team as well as an additional 1,000 pounds in equipment and tools. Furthermore, these vehicles are efficient and fast in the face of an emergency and are also developed with infrared night sensors and fire detecting and suppressing gear. An issue occurring with these vehicles is the contract price, as it is around $18.5 million, and the limitations that come with using a vehicle, such as the immobility to use them during floods or earthquake situations. When compared to Corvus, you're able to see the benefits we have, such as lower costs, less human risk, and more effective search and rescue times. However, it would be possible for SOAR to be used in aiding these vehicles, as we are unable to send in the emergency response teams ourselves. Furthermore, helicopters are a common rescue service to take note of as well, such as the Canadian Armed Forces developed CH-147 Chinook that was used in Montreal last year to assist in flood relief. This highly reinforced helicopter is capable of flying at high speeds and also able to carry high volumes of equipment, people, and resources. There are also a variety of features, including systems such as electro-optic and infrared sensors, flare dispensers, and radar warning systems. However, once again, this product is high in fuel and unit costs, totaling over $50 million per unit. When you compare Chinook to SOAR's Corvus product, you can see that the drones are able to provide more detailed analysis to post-disaster areas, as our units are able to separate and cover more area. Thank you.
So, to sum up our competitor analysis, we would like to note that we made this table here to show the main functions that we think are the most important for these kind of products. We see that although SOAR relinquishes its ability to carry payload in our aircraft, we effectively have a centralized system which is unique to our product. But moreover, we have functions like a charging station or a low market price range, which is unrivaled by the other competitors.
So here's our financial forecast for the next 2 years. So in our first year, we will require a startup cost of roughly $4,243,595. Here's a general breakdown of all of our expenses. Most notably, you will see that we're heavily investing into our advertising department, which is our 3-pillar marketing strategy. For this region, we will be requesting a $1 million bank loan with 7% interest, which will be paid back within 3 years. So, as mentioned previously, we will be targeting 2 market segments. Firstly, municipalities, and secondly, non-governmental organizations. In our first year, we are looking to capture roughly 2% of the target market, which amounts to 3 to 4 units sold, and by the third year, we are expecting to capture roughly 5%, which amounts to 9 to 10 Corvus system sales. As indicated by our sales projections, we will be generating roughly $2.5 million worth of revenue in our first year, which triples to roughly $7.6 million in our third year. Due to our large startup costs, SOAR will not be making a profit in our first year. However, we will begin profiting within our second year. Due to our pricing of our Corvus system at $799,000, we will have a gross profit margin of 32.32%. And as indicated by the net income chart or graph, you can see that we will begin profiting in the 13th month. Here's a summary of our break-even analysis. As you can see, we will not begin breaking even until the second year.
Ladies and gentlemen, I understand that SOAR's product seems like it's taken right off the next science fiction blockbuster. But note that through our presentation we've shown you that it is totally possible, and we totally have the technology and ability to make safer Canadians and better rescues possible through Corvus. Thank you.
Great job, everyone.
Well, first of all, I want to compliment you on your presentation and your business plan. I thought your business plan as well was very clearly written, concisely written, which is really important. I read a lot of these, and sometimes less is more. And there's this kind of urge to want to write as many pages as possible, but focusing on actually what the important information is that should be in there is really the key, so I thought you did a good job with that. My first question is really budget related, so I guess pressure's on the finance people. This is a really ambitious project, which I'm sure you're aware of, and I didn't see in there the cost for research and development. And when I looked at your budget, I saw the cost of per unit and what you were going to sell them for, but I didn't see, you know, so typically you would see the research and development cost of the unit itself, and then the production cost thereafter should be less than the original price of the first unit, let's say. So just wanted to understand where your budgeting and pricing and the research costs were in there.
Okay, so as far as research and development goes, within our first 3 years, we will be actually within the entire duration of our company, we will be outsourcing our products. So within the first 3 years, we won't be focusing too much on research and development, but as technology advances, so will our research and development department advance. So we will be investing more money, because initially we're investing a lot of money into the advertising department to gain the attraction of media, cities, and non-governmental organizations. So in the long term, we will be investing more into our research and development. Thank you.
So that's a good segue then to my second question. So does this product, and I know the drones exist, but the airship that you described, does it already exist, or is it something that you're creating or having created for you from scratch?
All right, so as we have shown you, basically the entire product, the airships plus the drones and all its features, they are all existing technologies, yet they have not been implemented into one single system. So usually like aircraft such as helicopters or like normal airplanes are used in disaster relief efforts. However, airships are rarely used in this world. We have no idea why. But we have chosen an airship due to its high flying time as well as low fuel cost. And in terms of drones, it's the simple matter of adding sensors and like cameras onto the drones, as well as programming the system for like the optimal route calculation as well as the building integrity inspection.
So my advice to you on that one then would be either get into manufacturing yourselves, or get a really great deal with your supply manufacturer where your price per unit goes down for everyone that you purchase, basically, because having the same price point whether you sell one or whether you buy one unit from them or 3,000 would not make good business sense. My third question then is basically related to the name of the company. What does Corvus mean?
So our name Corvus actually originates from the Latin word crow or raven. So basically we chose this name because we believe our product helps oversee the entire area and it helps investigate into what problems we need to go to.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I want to start off by saying excellent job on your presentation. I know it takes a lot of courage to get up and speak in front of an audience, and thought you all did a fantastic job on that, so well done. Jumping into my first question, I'm just going to ask, how will you, through the implementation of this program, comply with Canadian laws regarding drones and flight paths, and the regulations set around drone usage within city limits and in residential areas?
So we've actually done plenty of research because we were concerned about this issue ourselves as well when we were initially thinking about our idea. But you can see in our business plan that we particularly noted in the regulation section of it the different ways that we're going to get around it and different regulations currently in place. We would like to note that most regulations in place right now are for commercial drones because there hasn't been a lot of usage of drones for helping people for natural disaster purposes. So we think that we would be able to get around it like that. But moreover, because this would also be used by the government, we think that we would be able to talk to them and help them understand that this is not for a commercial purpose, and they would hopefully allow us to have things.
So my next question is, you're targeting 180 major cities and communities. Have you thought about shortening that list and maybe focusing on a few cities as a target market to kind of demonstrate what this technology can do, and kind of focusing in on getting, city feedback and support to kind of push this project forward?
Right, so we are targeting our 180, however that won't be in our initial year. So in the initial year we're looking for, as I mentioned earlier, the location, what they currently have, and how likely they are able to respond to these natural disasters. So we are looking into narrowing it down for the first few years and hopefully expanding it in the future. Thank you for your question.
And my third question is, in the event of a natural disaster, how long will it typically take to deploy this airship? Of course, when there's panic engaging in a community and people are all scrambling to gather their loved ones and their belongings, how do you implement this technology, and how quickly is it? How effective is it?
All right, so normally during disaster situations, disasters do not strike instantaneously. Rather, it will be a buildup of several days where the disaster relief teams will be given time to pull their resources together and also deploy these airships. Once they get there, the disaster relief teams will be able to more efficiently, their response time will be drastically improved with the implementation of the Corvus technology. Therefore, I don't think that the time needed for the deployment is a big issue.
I think finally I'm just going to say, following up on what Stephanie said, is if you can manufacture the equipment yourself, you may look at reducing your cost to sell the product as well, and also probably maintaining your profit margins while bringing the price down from $799,000, because at $800,000 you will immediately start to eliminate many municipalities who possibly can't, through their tax bracket, afford this kind of technology. So that's something to keep in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Great job.
Great job.
Pluto Communications is a company founded by 11 talented, driven, and innovative individuals striving to better prepare Canadians for natural disasters. Their mission is to ensure effective communication for the preparation and safety of Canadian communities in the event of a natural disaster. Please welcome Pluto Communications.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Good luck.
Hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Luck. Hi. Good luck. Good luck. Hi. Good luck. Okay. Yeah, you too. Good luck. Good luck.
Good evening, judges. We are Pluto Communications, and today we will be presenting our product, the Pluto Smoke Alarm. Before we get started, let's introduce the team. So my name is Jasleen Baya. I am the CEO of the company. We have Alicia Chan, Ben Flack, Sean Rice, Erica Stark, John, Madison Squires, Alyssa, Aiden, Sophia, and Jim.
So our presentation outline, we're going to be talking about the product and services, the market analysis, operations, and financial forecast. This is overview. Our mission statement. Our mission is to ensure effective communication and preparation and safety for Canadian communities in the event of a natural disaster. Our vision is for the world to become more resilient in preparation for natural disasters. Our objective is to create an effective system for communication, for communicating meaningful information and from emergency workers to households to ensure increasing preparation and safety during natural disasters.
So we decided to base our product in Edmonton, Alberta. We chose Alberta because Alberta has the #1 rate of natural disasters for all of Canada. And we chose Edmonton because it's our plan to start in the small communities surrounding Edmonton, and then we will expand as our company grows. So to start off, a natural disaster is defined by a catastrophic event caused by natural processes that causes damage in some way. It's important to know that to become resilient, which is the ability to bounce back after a natural disaster, we must not only focus on the recovery, but the preparedness as well. To make Canadian communities more resilient to natural disasters, we decided to make a simple and effective product.
Okay, so the Pluto Smoke Alarm is a module that is a one-way system that uses radio frequencies, specifically AM radio frequencies, to transmit messages from fire halls to households. It is a one-way system, and so there is no breach of privacy, as some concerns have addressed before. In the smoke alarm, there is embedded speakers that will broadcast evacuation instructions and preparation instructions from the fire halls when initiated. These instructions will be broadcasted in both French and English. As well, there will be an alarm that's blared from the speaker as well when initiated, and this will be a combination of high and low frequency pitches. And the low frequency pitches will awake anybody that is sleeping, and the higher frequency is for anybody that is not in the immediate vicinity of the smoke alarm. We have a couple different visual aids for those that are hard of hearing or hearing impaired. The first is an LCD screen, which will display the evacuation instructions in French and English. And we also have a flashing LED light that will get the attention of those that are hearing impaired or hard of hearing.
So some of the features and benefits of our product is that it includes increased safety because of rapid communication. So this allows more time for the residents of homes to prepare for the evacuation necessary so that when firefighters arrive at homes, they can evacuate immediately and get to a safer place right away. So there's also going to be a loud alarm, and it is going to be accessible for the hard of hearing, the deaf, and the second language English and French users. So this is going to be in effect through an LED light, which will be flashing, as a visual aid, and there will also be an LCD screen, which will be including visual instructions. So there are also going to be some life insurance benefits. So our product shows life insurance companies that our users are invested in their safety and the safety of their families. So this way, life insurance companies will know that they can lower life insurance rates. And actually, we have received a testimony from a life insurance company based in Edmonton, Alberta, from Kenton, which states that they would be interested in lowering their rates if our product was installed in their homes.
As Chief Design Officer, it was my job to create and design product imaging, as seen up here. My job also included how we would prototype and test the product. So we did this, we will do this, by hiring a team of engineers to give us a schematic and build the prototype. As far as testing goes, what we'll do is we'll have a radio transmission test. What this will do is ensure the maximum sound quality through our speakers and make sure that the message appears clearly through the LCD display, much like when you're listening to the radio in your car and it displays the song title. We will also have the sound barrier test. We have this test for the hard of hearing or those using this sound cancelling devices, so that to make sure they are aware of that there is a situation going on, so it will be loud enough for them to hear it. And lastly, we have a light alarm test. This is for those who lack the ability to hear. This will ensure that they will be able to also receive the warning. And to further our testing, what we will do is we will implement this into smaller communities for testing so that we can get feedback back from them. And I will now pass the spotlight on to my colleague John. Thank you.
So, security. So there are two parts to this system. There are the fire halls, and then there is the community itself, the residences. The fire hall will broadcast through radio to the communities. This is a one-way system, and there is nothing coming from the houses. So there is no camera, no mic, no ability to transmit. So for anyone who has concerns about privacy in the home, they can rest assured that there is no mechanism for information to leave their house. So we're working with radio. Is there the possibility that it could be somehow jammed with noise? And the answer is not really. Frequency jamming is highly illegal in Canada, and it must be deliberate, and it typically only has a range of about 200 meters. So especially on the grand scheme of the system, this is a very small area, it's a minimal effect. In addition, the signal can be triangulated by police and stopped at its source. What about the possibility of a third party acting as the fire hall and giving misinformation or false alarms? Well, this can be stopped through basic encryption.
Okay.
So in terms of competition, there are only a few immediate competitors with our product, one of those being Alert Ready. Alert Ready is a system that was established by the federal government to alert citizens of Canada of any emergency situations. However, the system was not completely successful as it was extremely difficult to support all types of phones and carriers, and this message did not go to about half of Canada's population. About half of people did not receive this on their mobile devices. The Pluto smoke alarm, however, it uses AM detected frequencies, so radio frequencies, which is a lot more reliable than, say, internet or Wi-Fi signals, since typically internet and cell towers will collapse in the event of a natural disaster. Other competitors of our smoke alarm are regular smoke alarms. However, these regular smoke alarms are not as accessible as our product is, since, as we mentioned, our smoke alarm provides visual aids for those that are hearing impaired or hard of hearing, and thus it appeals to a wider range of audiences.
So market size. So we're going to be working with Alberta, Canada, and the population of Alberta is 4.15 million people. So if we account for the fact that there is 98% of people who have smoke alarms, there is 2.5 people per household and 2 smoke alarms per household, we get about 3.254 million smoke alarms. One thing that's important to note is that people replace their fire alarms not as frequently as other products. Typically, a fire alarm will stop working after 10 years. And so if you have the ages of the fire alarms distributed but evenly between 10 years, that'll be at 10% of the people replacing them every year. However, we predict this to be slightly higher because people replace their smoke alarms before they break. And so if we account for, say, a 15% because also it'll be artificially increased, hopefully people will want to replace their existing smoke alarms with our smoke alarms instead. So if there's a 15% turnover rate, and if we assume that we dominate 10% of the market, we'll have 489,000 units sold annually.
It is important to understand that which target demographic our company is marketing to, because as you know, smoke alarms can be purchased by any single consumer, so it is much more effective to focus on 3 target markets. And firstly, we're going to focus on small towns in Canada because the highest rate of natural disasters occur in more remote communities. As well, these small towns have lower populations, so it is much more effective to install Pluto smoke alarms in every single household, making it a much more effective system to use. Secondly, we are going to be focusing on marketing towards families because parents are more safety conscious and they're more likely to buy a smoke alarm with emergency evacuation information if they know it can benefit the safety of their children. And finally, obviously we're going to target homeowners or household owners throughout Canada because nearly every house needs a smoke alarm because it is required by law, and if we can profit off of this demographic, it can be very helpful towards our company.
So by carrying out a SWOT analysis, this helps identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the Pluto smoke alarm so that future improvements can be made. So some strengths of the products is that it is a very secure and trustworthy system as it is a one-way warning system. It is also catered towards the general population, including the hearing impaired and also the second language English and French learners. The alarm also allows for rapid, effective, and clear communication to the communities. And on top of that, the typical replacement years for smoke detectors is around 8 to 10 years. So this makes it really reliable as we will also be using radio frequencies to relay the messages. Other weaknesses include that the smoke alarm is not waterproof, and so households will not be able to replace the smoke alarm. So maintenance for this system is required. Another disadvantage is that the elderly and the disabled will find it very difficult to read the messages on the LCD screen, and the sleep and hearing impaired people will find it difficult to wake up. So our company has also examined several opportunities for the smoke alarm, which includes all households replacing their smoke alarms with the Pluto smoke alarm. And also we hope to increase in our brand awareness and brand loyalty as we continue to sell our products to the customers later on in the future. Our company has also detected several threats to the smoke alarm, and these threats include regulatory changes that governments may change, and also if we do not have government support, then municipalities will not activate the smoke alarm. And some other threats that our company can face is that our product may be more expensive than simple smoke alarms, and also there is indeed competition between other emergency alert warning systems.
As with the success of any business, it is important to understand which forms of medium we're going to be using for our marketing and our promotion strategy. So firstly, we're going to be marketing through television campaigns, but as mentioned before, the majority of our target market lies in more remote communities. We will be advertising through local television channels because these are much more cost effective and they have high rates of viewership within these smaller communities to ensure that we are meeting our target demographic well. Secondly, we will be advertising through online streaming sources such as YouTube by placing our ads on similar videos such as channels on home maintenance or fire and safety. And finally, because we do live in a digital world, we are going to be taking advantage of social media and the platforms that it gives us because it is very cost effective, and the majority of homeowners have at least one form of social media such as Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
So our company has also developed a partnership with GGK Electronics, which is an electronic company for materials such as radio receivers and graphic LCD screens. We also are in contact with Uline Canada for reliance on manufacturing, industrial, and packaging supplies such as poly bags and shelves. And we have also been in contact with online mass distributor Amazon.com for poly sheets of plastic, and Aero Electronics, which is an electronic company that specializes in the distribution of electrical materials such as wiring accessories and speakers that we need.
So protecting the intellectual properties of our company is a necessity, and we're pursuing many legal avenues in order to do so, the most important of which will be a patent for our first product. We hope to receive a final submittable design within 1 year from now, and based on current projections of complexity, this design for the pricing of the patent could range from around $9,000 to $12,000. It will take, on average, just over 3 years to complete, based on Canadian patent averages, and it will give us the ability in the market for 20 years, market exclusivity for this specific product. Secondly, we'll be filing trademarks for our company name and logo. This is a relatively minimal investment compared to other financial expenses we have, being only around $600 per filing, and we'll do this immediately to protect our company's identity, as well as any designs that we may have in the future. Finally, we'll be drafting a company-wide NDA. This non-disclosure agreement will protect information within the company and keep it from being spread elsewhere, and protect against patent eligibility loss from early disclosure of current and future patents and products.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Ben and this is Jim, and we will be discussing the finances as they relate to the Pluto company. So first of all, we have created a set of goals as to where we see the financials of our company in the up and coming years. Our first goal is not only do we want to be a profitable company, but we want to be a sustainable company. And we want to complete this by hopefully the start of the third year. Another goal that we have set is we want to expand outside of Alberta into British Columbia using the financial stability and profitability that we have gained during the previous years. And to reach these goals, we do need to have a profitable product. So currently, the variable cost of our product is $33 to produce per unit. So this accounts for the LCD screen, the speakers, the lights, all of this together to form this $33 variable cost. Then the retail value is $85. This makes sure that we have a very profitable product, but it remains very accessible and affordable for the consumers. So currently, many smoke alarms sell for approximately $50 on the market, and with our smoke alarm having the added benefit of being able to communicate with emergency services, we feel that this price is extremely reasonable. So to start off our business, we are going to need an initial investment, and each one of us is contributing $5,000, totaling $55,000 for our initial investment. We are also going to reach out to investors, which will hopefully help speed up the process of which we can expand and grow our company. We are not going to be taking bank loans, as we feel that we will have enough funds from our investors to keep us on our feet for the first few years.
So this is just some of our cash flow. So when we're looking at what factors might play into our finances, we have to first thing off look at advertising. So advertising is a pretty important part, and as you can see here, we actually invest quite a bit into advertising. So perhaps our smaller facet where we look to advertise is through television, and we can use this to target demographics which are a bit older, who are still using this medium. So these would probably be people as young as 40, maybe even younger. But our main thing is going to be social media, because this is a very cheap and cost-effective way to reach out to many large and diverse groups of people. As well, from the graph, you can see that we do the advertising in waves, as we hope that perhaps in the case that a consumer might forget our company, a new advertisement will come in and they'll again remember it.
So when we're looking at salaries, we can see that in the first year, the salaries are actually pretty low for the employees. This is because our company is not yet very stable. But as the years come on, the salaries become more representative of the work that people put in. You can see in the third year that the salaries have actually considerably increased from year one. As well, like all businesses, or most other businesses, Pluto Communications needs a place to house our manufacturing areas and our office. So we chose a place in Edmonton, again, because it is a pretty central place in Alberta. Since our location will be rented, it will not depreciate over time. Similarly, we will also be using trucks to move our products from our manufacturing places into wholesalers. Again, these trucks will not depreciate over time as we do not own them. Looking into the long term and our sustainability of our company, we can see that since our goal is to try to expand to every single province and every single territory in Canada, because we feel that all Canadians should have access to our product to protect them, the sustainability will not be a problem. As well, this technology can also be used in many other countries, like the United States or the United Kingdom. And so international markets will make our sustainability much better in the long run.
So with our innovative and driven group of individuals that form up our team at Pluto Communications, and a product that is unique and has an invaluable purpose, we are sure that the Pluto smoke alarm will thrive for years to come, and we would greatly appreciate your support in assisting us with the success of this product. Thank you so much for your time. Any questions?
Sure. Great presentation, guys, and you seem very well organized and coordinated. So great job on that. So I know it's not always fun to have to present, even if, especially if your family's watching at home, right? That's probably the worst part. So I like the simplicity of your business and product idea. You know, sometimes the simplest, kind of most obvious ideas are the most successful. So I definitely like that, and I really loved your insurance premium angle, because most adults will probably tell you their number one beef is insurance, and it's a really big cost for a household. So I think that's a really great angle, and I would even build that into the marketing messaging down the road. So my first question is, where would you recommend that a homeowner installs this product in their house?
The smoke alarm will basically replace all the old ones, like our Pluto. So it can be installed the same way as the last one was. It has to be AC wired though, rather than being just run off of a DC battery. This ensures that there is less chance for failure, because battery replacement is, sometimes people just take off the fire alarm and never replace the battery. So if we keep it hooked up to AC power, then at least that way it minimizes risk. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Along with that also, just to add on to that, we are looking into requirements for where fire alarms should be placed in houses, and the requirement is that there should be one on every floor and one outside bedrooms as well. So that's what we look into. And also our smoke alarm would be AC wired, but would also have a battery backup inside of it.
And yeah, I think one of the things in the messaging too, when I first read the product description, is I thought it was only for the fire station to alert my home related to a community emergency, and I missed that it was a dual value-added product that had the smoke alarm, traditional smoke alarm, plus the community emergency piece add-on. So I think that was maybe not as poignant as it could have been in the description, but so it's a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
And my second question was, where did I put it? Okay, so related to marketing, I saw you talk about television advertising, and I'm glad that you had a comment of people as young as 40. I was waiting for you to say as old as 40. But I didn't hear anything about point of sale and picking. So when I buy a smoke alarm, it's really not because I see it advertised to me on TV. Typically because I'm at Home Depot or Home Hardware or a store like that, and I see it on a shelf. So Did you think at all about those direct marketing opportunities, and if so, what kind of opportunities were you thinking of?
So our smoke alarm will be sold in the same retailers as an average smoke alarm would be. So that would be hardware stores such as Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever else you would buy your primary smoke alarm. And we are pushing to make it so that it has a big display. And so the moment you walk into the smoke alarm section, it has a prominent attractiveness to the sector, so people will be able to see it when they're picking out their smoke alarms on location. Hope that answers your question.
Great. Yeah, and it's really a comment related to, I know social media and digital media is really prominent now, but honestly, if there's a person in the store saying, don't buy that, buy this because you get two items for the price of one, that's what I'm going to pick up off the shelf, right? And then my last comment would really be, question is, did you call some of those smaller media outlets for pricing when it comes to television advertising and the cost of advertising? What kind of research did you do?
When we were doing our research, we found out that on smaller cable networks, it only costs $5 to advertise to around 1,000 people. So if we are assuming that some towns have as low as maybe 1,000 to 20,000 people, we realized it would be a lot more cost efficient to just market on these smaller cable networks rather than do a big advertisement through a national broadcasting station where not everybody is in a situation where they need protection against natural disasters.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, well, I'm just going to mimic my colleague in saying that you guys did a fantastic job in your presentation. I want to commend you on the hard work and effort you put into your proposal. And obviously, you've done a lot of research and you guys seem to know your stuff, so well done. First thing I'm going to get into is, I think for the marketing perspective, I think you've missed a key demographic in that a lot of homes now that are new builds are coming with smoke alarms in them. So I'd actually highly recommend also, apart from targeting consumers, you maybe target home builders and contractors because they're a primary source of, builders who build new residential communities, and they put these new smoke alarm systems in homes that they're building.
That was actually one of the things that we were talking about while we were coming up with this idea. So we have thought about that, and that's we just unfortunately missed to mention it during the presentation, but that's definitely something that we've considered because we realize that typically the people that are building their homes for the first time, they're likely to buy our product over just a regular smoke alarm just because of the enhanced benefits of our product. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I'm going to suggest is I'm going to take a different approach than Stephanie. Not that we ever argue, but I think you guys can go far beyond calling this a smoke alarm. I mean, I'm listening to the array of features this thing has. It has an LCD screen, it's got audible tones, it's got lighting, different pitches. I mean, you're getting beyond the realm of smoke alarm technology. I'm almost considering this a smart home device, and I think of that as a market that you could exploit in profit growth, as well as niching out a market for yourself. Because you look at other smart home devices like the iHome, things from Apple, like the HomePod. I have a Nest in my house. It's a carbon monoxide detector. I paid $260 for that thing. And all it does is say hello when I come home, and it gives me a monthly alert. So at $85, your product is very cheap for something I consider comparable to a smart home device. So I think that's a market you could definitely exploit. And you're well under cost for things like the Nest that come in at $200 to $300. So you could actually consider raising your price. That's something I would suggest.
Sorry. The only issue we had with calling it a smart home device is that we would think people would assume it to be two-way system that would make it more question security. That was one big issue that we found.
Definitely a consideration though. Now that we talk about the profit margins, I think that's something we could consider.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point that you make, and obviously privacy is such a big issue in the homes nowadays. But I can tell you, my Nest is marketed as a smart home device, and I cannot talk back to that thing or give it any information. It literally just sends me updates. But yeah, great job, everyone. And finally, I just wanted to say, I thought it was great that you started off in a smaller area, you set your demographic as Alberta, you stuck to one region. A lot of the presentations have focused on, global expansion or global markets. But I thought it was great that you kind of set your sights a little smaller, kind of edged out your demographic, and kind of figured out exactly how many units you possible to sell. And if anything, you guys over-optimized and he thought, yeah, hey, we could actually absorb 10% of the market share, which is really optimistic and great. So I mean, sometimes, often companies play it safe and they set their sights too low. So I just want to say great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
Thank you so
Great
much.
job.
Helping Hands is a service and evacuation app developed by a group of 10 high school students from across Canada. From educating Canadians on natural disaster safety and supplies, to coordinating and tracking evacuation routes, to finding safe homes following a disaster, Helping Hands is the one application needed to ensure the safety of all Canadians in the event of a natural disaster.
Hi there.
Good luck.
Hi.
Hey, good luck.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck. Yeah, you too. Oh.
So in 2015, more than 12.4 million Canadians reported to have been personally affected by a natural disaster. These Canadians were lost, they were scared, afraid, hungry, they had problems with housing, food, clothing, shelter, medicine, but we can fix this. And today, here at Helping Hands, we've created an application that will do exactly that.
Okay, hi there, so my name is Carla Bang and I'm the CEO of Helping Hands.
My name is Karan and I'm the VP of Development.
I'm Bardia, and I'm the VP of Human Resources.
I'm Andrew, and I'm the recruiter.
My name's Hank, I'm the Director of Product Management.
My name is Umar Kazi, I'm the Software Development Manager.
My name is Annika Sherman, and I'm the Director of Quality Assurance.
I'm Tracy Sue, I'm Product Manager. I'm Ivy Dang, I'm the Software Engineer.
I'm Sarah Shing, and I'm Quality Assurance Engineer.
Earlier this month, astronaut Drew Fustel announced the theme of Shad, which is resilience to natural disasters. This theme has guided our team in our production of our company, our business plan, and as well as our product. Here at Helping Hands, we define a natural disaster as any sudden natural event that may result in many deaths and or great property loss. These natural disasters are becoming more frequent and stronger as climate change increases. This is because of greenhouse gases that are being released into our atmosphere, which are increasing the average global temperature, causing more drought, floods, wildfires, storms, and other disasters. We've defined three main pillars of the problem. First of which is inefficient evacuations. Second of which are difficult to find resources. So many times people may post on social media that they're able to offer help or resources, but there's no real centralized platform where all these resources can be found by the people who need them. Third and finally, there's a real lack of communication between the government and evacuees who need the information. Our product focuses on the before, during, and after phases of natural disaster resilience, which we think is a main aspect that really sets us apart. So when you first open up the app, you'll be sent to the landing page, which is pictured at left. Then once the application loads, you'll be able to sign up and create an account to access the tutorial and disaster preparedness guide, which will teach users about steps they can take to be more ready in the event of a disaster. You'll see there that government-issued ID is an important part of this, and that's because there's background checks that are conducted on the users to ensure the safety of all parties involved. Push notifications are also an important part of our application, which will take you to the Resources tab, pictured at right. At that Resources tab, individuals who are using the app can buy survival kits and other disaster preparedness products. During the disaster itself, artificial intelligence algorithms will create personalized routes to prevent bottlenecking. So say, for example, there's two individuals who are trying to get out of a city center. They may take different routes, so that'll really reduce congestion. Data from the weather network will also be used to create little spots where there's pings and hazards so that users know to stay away from those. After a disaster actually occurs, Helping Hands will connect people who need help with those people who are willing and able to offer help.
This includes housing, food, clothing, and medicine. So what we're really doing here is capitalizing on Canadian generosity, Canadian kindness, as well as Canadian diversity, without compromising the safety and security of the people who are really using our app. An interesting factor that sets us apart is the fact that Helping Hands works without cellular service. So this is good for northern communities or places where cell towers may have been knocked down. The way this works is that preloaded routes happen when users are connected to Wi-Fi, and then these routes are then given via Bluetooth 5.0 to people who do not have this data and information on their phones, so there will be a ping and a fast transfer of information.
Okay. Our app, Helping Hands, will be developed through Android Studio, which is a code and visual layout editor. It's a Gradle-powered build system that can automate processes, check databases, and most importantly, automatically create a network activity map. This map is crucial for our advertising plan, because we can see exactly who is using our app and where they are, and we can cater all of our advertising for that specific demographic. Android Studio is perfect for developing our app because it's simple to use, it can code in a variety of different popular coding languages, and it allows multiple versions of the same app to be running at once. In 2017, 45,000 natural disasters took place in Canada. Now, a natural disaster isn't only during the event, it also has tons of after effects that we must consider as well. For example, it can destroy belongings, it affects jobs, and most importantly, it displaces families. We interviewed Jessie Stevens, an environmental technician who was evacuated during the Fort McMurray wildfire, and she identified two main issues with the evacuation. The first was the lack of communication between government officials and the evacuees, and you can see a quote on the slide that she said about this issue. Second was that many evacuees don't actually have a place to go following the evacuation, so they would spend nights, sometimes up to weeks, in their cars with little to no resources. Now, our app aims to solve both of these issues.
So looking at the economic situation, Canada's economy grew by 3.1% in 2017 and is projected to grow by 2.2% in 2018. In addition, the provinces that led this growth were British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario. This makes 2018 a prime time to release our app as the government and the people have the ability and are willing to invest in new products. Let's take a look at the competitors that are currently on the market. So FEMA and the Canadian Red Cross app both alert users about upcoming natural disasters and provide information about how to prepare. Life 360 connects families through location sharing so you can keep track of your loved ones at all times. Nextdoor is a local social network localized to your neighborhood, and users may share or sell or give away items through classified apps within their neighborhood. Finally, the popular home sharing app Airbnb extremely recently, on June 9th, released Airbnb Open Homes, which allows Airbnb homeowners to share their living spaces without charging a cost at all. And this is targeted towards evacuees and refugees who are displaced. So the apps I've listed so far vary in terms of the kinds of features they have and who they target. So if we look at this chart, we can see the niche of each app. So Helping Hands, on the horizontal axis, we have the extents to which the app is targeted towards natural disaster victims, whereas on the vertical axis, we have the extensiveness of their features. Helping Hands is in the upper left quadrant, fulfills a unique niche that is not yet fulfilled. Smartphone users may feel that the more general usage apps do not address their specific needs in a natural disaster, whereas having to install several limited but specialized apps may be cumbersome. Therefore, Helping Hands can effectively position itself as the most extensive natural disaster app.
So we have previously laid out our positions in the company. Here's a visual representation of how our roles will be set up and who will report to who in the company. We plan to provide low initial salaries for all employees, all the way up to the CEO. And you can refer to that on page 31 of our business plan. We do this to save costs and repurpose this saved money into the company. As the success of the company grows as planned, the employees will be provided with the appropriate bonuses and compensation.
Within legal issues, we plan to implement the umbrella insurance plan in the future. So what is an umbrella insurance plan, you may ask? This insurance policy is designed to help protect you from major claims and lawsuits. As a result, it helps to protect your assets and your future. Acting as a type of liability insurance, the main objective of an umbrella insurance is to protect an individual against lawsuits. While most auto insurance policies may offer liability coverage to only up to $500,000 per accident, it must be recognized that damages in a lawsuit often add up to millions of dollars with ease. Therefore, with the use of an umbrella policy, massive lawsuits are unable to wipe out an individual's other assets. Furthermore, they act as protection against being sued for damages that other insurance policies do not cover. These include accidents caused in work environments or on vacations.
There are four main types of damages covered by the umbrella insurance. The very first is bodily injury. For individuals who injure themselves, for individuals who injure someone in a car accident and face the problem where the medical bills exceed the limits of their auto insurances, and for example for electricians who accidentally injure themselves whilst leaving the individual's houses, umbrella policies are able to help them in the best way by covering their bills, bills beyond the limits of their insurance policies. Next is property damage. If a car crashes into the side of your neighbor's house, an umbrella insurance policy will pay for any damage beyond the limits of your auto insurance. In addition to the main damages, an umbrella insurance policy protects an entity that has been sued for written or spoken words that cause injury to someone else. It can also protect you against suits for false arrest, malicious prosecution, violation of privacy, and a variety of other civil charges. A final aspect of umbrella insurance is that it takes care of your legal fees and court costs in a lawsuit.
Helping Hands sets a standard for what we believe is liable based off of what other competitions assumes to be their responsibilities. We will cover any injuries or damages to houses that an individual is providing. In addition, any neighboring property damage will be covered along with anything out of the host or receiver's control.
So in order to maximize our profits, we need to understand the market that we're going for. So our market competition consists of NGOs and companies such as Care Canada, UNICEF, World Vision, and Red Cross and Airbnb Open Homes, as said by Tracy. So the total valuation estimation of these companies will be $335.1 million. And we strive to achieve 20% of this initial market in the first year. And the total 20% market can be valued at $70 million. In the second year, we strive to achieve 25% of the market share, which is $80 million. So the question arises, where do these markets operate, and who do we target in these markets? So we targeted a large spectrum of people from age 15 to 55 in British Columbia. And this is because more than 1,300 wildfires engulfed British Columbia in 2017 alone. And this is the reason for choosing this large market. So we researched and found out that 93% of individuals aged 18 to 34 had smartphones in BC. So we changed our target market to people from ages 18 to 34-year-olds. And the approximate population of these people in BC is 1,081,059 people. And these people, it turns out that they're more prone to be our first adopters of our product. And in year 2, Helping Hands will expand to places in Alberta, and in year 3 we will expand to Ontario and focus on disasters such as flooding. So some initial test communities that we found through our research are Victoria, BC, which is a big city, Cedar, BC, which is a small community, and Wasp, BC, which is a small village, and is found to be the most prone to natural disasters according to reports. The initial market share we are predicted to have is 226,000 users within the first year, according to the 20% market share.
And so while Helping Hands has the potential to help millions of people, it can only do so with a comprehensive user base. And so to attract this user base, we've created a thorough 3-year marketing plan that will do exactly that. So firstly, we have to target our municipalities, because only when they license us will we be able to communicate with our citizens. And to do so, we will email them with communicating our brand, our values, what problems they have, and how we're going to fix them. And here's a sample email. And that's also in the business report if you want to refer to it.
Okay, so in order for our app to be successful, we have to have a user base. And to do that, we have to market to the consumers.
So we plan on advertising to them with our public relations and sales promotions. So one really crucial aspect our company's going to use, like one thing we're going to use to market, would be Snapchat. So 94% of millennials aged 18 to 35 have a smartphone, and 90% of those people use Snapchat. So this is a very crucial, very important thing we can use in order to get our user base.
So in terms of advertising directly towards our consumers, we're going to be putting our QR code that will link to a download of our app on billboards, on subways, and also bus stop posters. As well, we're going to have a video posted on various social media such as Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or WeChat. And lastly, we're going to have a Snapchat filter on the app itself with our QR code. And in terms of public relations, our ultimate goal is to increase our positive brand image in our community. And we'll do this in two ways. Firstly, we're going to have a Helping Hand scavenger hunt, and as well high school/university seminars that will educate people on what our app does, how to use our app, but most importantly, that will communicate our app's or our brand's core values to our consumers.
Okay, so when in such fundraisers or doing such activities, you can get rewarded points within the app. So now these points can be used either to get discounts on products on our the app or get gift cards for the certain brands that we're affiliated with. So there's some examples are like the 72-hour survival kit or like an emergency handbook. So these points would be accumulated when like going through fundraisers, scanning QR codes, and being interactive in general. Some companies that we plan on working with are like insurance companies, so the Insurance Bureau of Canada or other smaller subsidiaries. So we find that this would be pretty crucial to work with if we manage to partner with them where during the time of a natural disaster, the insurance coverage of a person's home would be higher if they had housed somebody with them. So if something was to happen, people would feel more secure because they'd have more coverage because of more people being in the household. And this would be beneficial for both parties because users of our app will feel a little safer when signing up, knowing that they have more coverage. And the insurance company, having a specific program, would lure more customers into it.
Next, our value proposition. So as we both understand, there is a lot of competition in this market, but we stand out in three ways. Firstly, it's our user-friendliness, our centralization, and our focus. So our app is very user-friendly. It's very minimalistic, making it very easy to navigate, making it very easy to turn to during a natural disaster. Next, because we're so centralized, which means that although parts of our app may exist scattered around the internet in places like Airbnb, Instagram, or Facebook, our app centralizes the whole process, making it extremely easy and extremely cohesive. Lastly, we're very focused. So because we're so focused on natural disasters, it will be very tailored towards the needs of those in a natural disaster.
Now we'll be moving on to our financial model. So in our financial model, the main two things that we have are our goals and our objectives. Our main goal, obviously, is to minimize costs and maximize profit. We would like to be profitable by the third fiscal year to support expansion, and we also want the capability to expand product awareness and continue our development. For our objectives, we have two main objectives. The very first one is to minimize office expenses, in turn maximizing our profit, and we also plan on expanding profit margins after the third fiscal year. Now we'll move on to the risks. In an ever-changing market, there are ever-changing needs, and if our product does not satisfy those needs, then consumers will move on to new products and we will not be making a profit. Additionally, we have we will run off of working capital because we have large expenses every month. And if in that working capital we cannot afford to pay our bills and our accounts payable, we will not be successful because we will be in extreme debt. Additionally, in financing, we rely on the funding from the government and from bank loans to be able to function. And if we do not get these to start up our company, we'll not be able to produce our app to in turn make our business and eventually make a profit. Also, we have a legal aspect which could be a risk. When you're connecting two strangers, there could be accidents and damages that are involved. And if we have to pay for those damages with our own insurance, then we may get into some financial issues within this. Then with competition, we have a risk that companies like Red Cross are doing very similar things to us, and if they are taking business away from us, we may not be able to create the profit that we have planned for. And the very last one is an operational risk, in which if the management is dysfunctional, then we will be unable to actually make money because our top companies or our top managers will not be able to plan this properly. Now we'll move on to forecast assumptions. Our initial capital, as we mentioned before, comes from government funding. We plan to get this from two of the funding programs that Canada does offer. The very first one is the Grand Challenges of Canada. And in that, they will make innovations, or they plan to fund companies that have innovation that save lives. And this is exactly what our company does, because we're getting a more efficient way to get out of these danger zones. And our second funding program that we are planning to use is New Ventures BC. As we are based in West Vancouver, we can take advantage of this BC funding program, and basically it's a competition for startup money to begin this app. So we intend to win this and receive the funding that we would like.
Alright, so now I'm going to be talking about pricing for our company. So Helping Hands charges the government $1 for every single connection that we help to facilitate. And this is kind of a small amount in comparison to the $3.25 per capita that the provincial government spends on natural disaster relief, which trickles into municipalities. So now let's talk about sales. So the sales, as you can see from year 1 to year 2, they increase about 100,000. But then when you go on from year 2 to year 3, the amount of sales that we make almost triple. And this is mainly because as in year 2 and year 3, we slowly start to increase the amount of people that we reach. So it's really important for us to increase our product awareness. And as you can see, this is a pretty positive trend. And as we continue on with business, we tap into the 60 million people in Canada with smartphones in our target market, we can significantly start to make profit. So this is highlighted, as you can see, in between year 1 and year 2, we have about a 56% sales increase. And then moving on from year 2 to year 3, you have about a 182% sales increase. Now I'm going to be talking about breaking even. So from year 1 and year 2, we actually don't break even. As you can see, the connections made in year 1 and year 2 don't match up to the break-even volume, but in year 3 that we do. And this trend, as you can see from in the break-even volume, it increases by about 100,000 roughly, because as an app business, a lot of our costs are spent at the beginning of our business. And then later on, we don't have a lot of variable costs, so the amount of costs that we have remain fixed. So the break-even volume doesn't really increase by that much. But since with an app, you can increase your product user base by a significant amount, but without using a lot of costs, our connections made increases by, from year 2 to year 3, again, it triples, and we expect to break even about year 3 in April. So now let's talk about expenses. So what are we spending our money on? So mostly promotion, staffing, and operations. So on average, we expect monthly about $55K in operations spending. So that includes insurance, rent, fringe benefits, office, keeping our servers up. And then for staffing, what we're doing to reduce costs is that for people like software engineers who are responsible for development, we pay them per hour because at the beginning of the company, although they're very important, as we go on to year 2 and year 3, they're not so important, we just pay them for what they do. Next, we're moving on to promotions. So promotion is a significant part of our business model, mainly because that's the way that we're going to increase our product market size, and which will increase the amount of connections we make. So on average, we're spending about 16% of our sales on promotions. Finally, I'm just going to briefly talk about net cash flow. So on year 2, we have a negative cash flow, and that's mainly because the amount of connections we've made don't really increase by a significant amount in order to have a positive cash flow. As you can see in year 3, it basically doubles, and that pattern will continue on as we move on with our product. And finally, I'll talk about net income. So as a startup company, especially as a company that's making an app, we spend a lot of money on development. So year 1 and year 2, we are in the negatives, but again, reiterating what I said before, in year 3, we are in the positives, and our profit will significantly start to increase as we go on.
And I'd just like to thank you guys so much for spending the time to be here. I know you've sat down for a long time, so we appreciate that you've really taken the time to consider our presentation. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, great job. So I think we'll both have a couple of questions for you. So my first question is related to financing, because you just ended with that. So in your balance sheet, you have cash assets of around $300,000, I believe, for your year one. Where is that cash all coming from, loans and grants, or are you investing any of your own money into the business startup?
Okay, so essentially, well, we did agree that most of that money would be coming from loans and grants. But obviously, if you're considering more, we also be accepting donations as well as, but realistically, part of the operations, we don't have our own personal assets, so we can't really invest in most of it. But we believe that with our idea, and especially with the appeal of being 10 high school students, we'll be able to receive the funding necessary.
Okay, thank you. Did you consider crowdfunding as a source of startup revenue for a project like this?
We didn't quite consider that because we were mainly looking at government funding, seeing as this is a product that we will be marketing to the government. But that for sure is definitely going to be an option that we will look at in the future, seeing as it's a product that will help Canadians and their communities. So it's really something that will help save lives. So that might be appealing in that sense for sure.
Absolutely, especially with the kind of micro targeted marketing strategy that you have, being able to appeal directly to the communities where you're rolling out the project first, being able to go after those local residents who have potentially been impacted by a natural disaster in the recent past. They may be more willing to invest in you, and local investors too may be willing to do that. And then my last question was related to the ID issue. So when one of your opening slides had the sign-up page for the app, and it asked for me to input my driver's license or Canadian identification, what's the rationale for that? And did you do any research around how people may feel about providing that type of information?
Right, so essentially the reason for that is because ultimately it comes back to safety and security of the people who are using our app. So when you have somebody going into somebody else's home after a disaster, they're definitely going to be concerned about their own safety. So having the background checks that are conducted is going to be a big part of our app, and that only happens with government-issued identification. Obviously, as you mentioned, there will be some privacy concerns, but our app will be completely safe and secure, and the software engineers will ensure that there's no concerns there.
And I'd like to add that Nextdoor currently implements such a feature because they verify both the full names and the addresses of older users.
Thank you.
Great job. Well, starting off, great job everyone. I want to say that was an excellent presentation. You certainly did your homework and you know your facts, so I just want to say well done. Jumping into my first thing, it's not really a question, it's a statement. I noticed you had a reward and incentive system built into your app, which would reward users on the use of the app itself by getting them access to promos and also kits for survival. I thought that was a great feature. So as you know, so many apps nowadays, some of the most popular ones are using reward and incentive based features to get people engaged with their app. So I thought that was a great touch. Next, you mentioned a $55,000 monthly operating cost. I'm just wondering, how did you come to that rationale, and could you give me just a bit of a breakdown on that?
So essentially, I can't remember the exact numbers, but that comprised of, so we're not buying a building, so we're renting a building in North Vancouver. So that comprises of our rent, maintenance of servers, also just buying those rent servers and keeping those facilities open, as well as a lot of it is also our insurance, as well as I think within that number we actually also included salaries within that. So that is actually a huge part of that number. So mainly, if I were to summarize it, it would just be the staffing basically, and as well as the insurance that we're paying for the umbrella insurance to protect ourselves against legal harm.
Sure. And I guess to follow that up with, you mentioned other apps that you're competing with, Airbnb, Nextdoor, apps that are given through non-for-profit agencies like FEMA. So what really sets your app apart? Like, why should I use your app as opposed to Airbnb?
Okay, so basically, like we showed in the chart before, our app is for specialized needs of users, and Airbnb Open Homes is only for homes, or like FEMA would be like for only certain things only, and So our app specializes in giving, like, connecting people who need certain things with people who have those specific things. So it's more specialized in that way.
Exactly. So essentially, most of the other apps that I mentioned focus on only one of the before or after processes. For example, connecting people with resources is more something that happens after the disaster, whereas the alerts and the preparation comes before the disaster. So with our app, you can always know what's going on before, during, and after the disaster. It's also important to know that there's not really a lot of things out there right now that can help people out in the midst of an evacuation.
On top of that, we, as I mentioned before, we're very centralized. So Airbnb only covers housing, and other apps only cover maybe connecting resources. However, we take housing, resources, and navigation and put it all into one app. And on top of that, our app works without signal. So if somebody were serious about trying to survive a natural disaster or trying to get through it well, they would be going to our app because we work without signal, because we're so centralized, and because our app is so tailored toward their exact needs in a natural disaster versus other ones.
Finally, I'd like to add that since our app is centralized and we have so many features in one easy UI, it makes the evacuation process less confusing, and it's kind of a hassle to go through all these different platforms to find what you need, and the fact that they're all together, it simplifies the process. And if you look at other business models, like a recent example is Instagram, they started implementing stories into their business model so that they can compete against Snapchat, and eventually what they're trying to do is take business from all those other social media platforms. And so by putting that stories, the user has everything from their posts to stories all in one platform. So why would they want to use Snapchat? And we kind of work in that same way.
Just to clarify, UI means user interface.
And just to wrap things up, I guess my final thing was that, sorry, I had it here a second ago. Okay. So we're talking about startup capital and generating money to see this project off the ground. Have you thought about, or has your group thought about implementing the advertisements right in the app itself?
So we were actually seriously considering advertising, but what we found is that people, when they're in need of these things and they're in emergencies, you don't want pop-up ads and you don't want to X out things to just find out like where you need to go in an emergency. So by providing this to someone, at least at the time of need, we have we completely discounted that because we want to focus on the well-being of the person. And additionally,
yeah, just to build on, definitely the functionality of the app is our top priority. So we're going to ensure that no advertisements are going to be compromising that. But we do have push notifications, as I mentioned, that will send users to that resources tab, where they can purchase products that will help in natural disaster preparedness. So we will be getting a little bit of funding from the companies that are putting their products on our website.
Overall, it just feels unethical to be taking advantage of someone's vulnerable times of need for our own profit.
Finally, I'd like to add on to Hank about the notifications. That's one way that we're going to keep users continuously engaged with our product, since natural disasters are a seasonal occurrence. So they usually, they're seasonal. So in order to keep users completely engaged with our product, and to keep them from getting our product, like often a lot of people install a bunch of apps and then never use them, we'll be sending those notifications to constantly remind them, like, hey, we're here, here's a product that you can buy to prepare yourself for the following season, or facts or things that they should do in order to ready their homes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Hand is a company that was founded in July 2018. The RAP will establish a decentralized communication platform connecting those needing help during natural disasters with those who are willing to help.
Nice to meet you, Amy.
Good luck.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hey, good luck. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Good luck. Of course. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Good luck. You too. Good luck. Hey, good luck. Good luck. Hi, good luck. Hey, good luck. Hey, good luck.
So I made our team made a portrait. So if anybody want to check it out, let's go through it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Does it run? Like?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
it
it's
does?
like an app.
Oh,
Good evening, judges. My name is Avery Norris, and I'm president of Hand in Hand. We are here to talk about our product, which will be focusing on the recovery process of natural disasters. Our motto is more than just thoughts and prayers, because we are here to modernize the recovery process. We want to take those Facebook posts all about thoughts and prayers and turn it into real-world change. So I would like to introduce our team. As I said before, my name is Avery Norris, and I'm president of Hand in Hand. We have Laura Shivright Johnston, who is our investor. We have Andrew Sun, who is our vice president. Shasmita Mutha Kumar, who is our marketing officer. Yanru Chen, which is our quality assurance specialist. We have Jacqueline Plouffe, our investor. Julie Ju, a tech officer. Bentley Chen, customer service officer. Ben Ernst, investor. Sanjana Vig, investor. And lastly, Kiran Ryu, which is the vice president. For the past month, Shad has challenged us with the question, how can we help Canadians be more resilient in the face of natural disasters? And Hand in Hand truly believes that to build resilience, you have to be with your user all throughout the process. Obviously, we cannot prevent natural disasters as they are natural, but we can be there in the stages before and after. And we believe we have solved that through our two modes, handy mode and alert mode, which we will talk about soon. We are looking for a $250,000 investment for 20% equity.
Now, before we get started talking about the specifics of our product and our company, I want to start off with a quick story. So, my family and I are from Guangdong, China, and that's one of the southernmost provinces in the entire country. So, every single summer it's struck with several typhoons. When these typhoons hit, individuals and their families are forced to stay in their homes for some fearful days and sleepless nights until eventually the whole thing blows over. When the ash settles and all the fog clears out, homes are destroyed, streets are blocked, and entire livelihoods are reset. People in these situations, they can't afford to purchase new products or items or tools to improve their situation. Instead, what they're forced to do is take what they have and do the absolute most with it. So this is what got us here at Hand in Hand thinking, why tap into the wallets of people who've just gone through a natural disaster when we can instead tap into something that every single person has, empathy.
Our vision is to strengthen the resilience of Canadian communities affected by natural disasters by transforming empathy into action. And our mission statement is more specifically to modernize the recovery process for communities affected by natural disasters by establishing a decentralized communication platform that efficiently connects those in need with those who can help.
Hand in Hand is a peer-to-peer platform, and it is made to allocate existing resources. When a natural disaster happens, your home is destroyed and a lot of your belongings are gone. And during the early stages of recovery, stores are not even open. So even if you could go to a store, you really don't have the money to do it because you have to start rebuilding your house. So we are here to connect people who have a need and people who can fulfill that need. That connection is through three people. We have our recipient, we have our donor, and we have our driver. When all those three people are connected, the transaction is complete. Basically, people can post their individual needs. Say a child needs a specific food to take their medicine. The person can post that. And then someone in that community can say, oh, I have that, and they can connect. And then the driver can transport it from one person to the other.
As an objective, we first want to raise the awareness of our product and attract the attention of as many users as possible because we need them to download our app during a non-natural disaster time to get more prepared for a potential natural disaster. In the 3 years after the launch of our product, we're expecting that our app will have registered 1,000
170,000 community members, 275 organizations, as well as 66 municipal governments. Our second objective is engagement, which means making sure that our users are using our app to carry out the actions that our team has envisioned during times of both natural disaster and calm. This means building connections as well as building resilience. Our third objective, user satisfaction, takes into account all user feedback so we can keep improving our app to meet more and more of our users' needs. We have a customer service team that takes in complaints, and users will also be able to post online reviews and posts and ratings in application stores.
Right. So our product focuses on helping people help other people. So in that sense, we don't want to be a big part of it, so we need to be fully autonomous. And our app does this by using algorithms to connect people who are in need of help with people who have the resources to do that help. It all starts with a profile. So the profile consists with a name, the person's occupation, and their location. And it also has features at the top where you can message the person, ask them for their contact information, you can ask them for their location, you can also rate them, rate your experience with them, see their experience with other people and how they've helped. And you can also report them just in case they're violating our user guidelines. And here's our alert mode. Alert mode is during natural disasters. So a municipal government member, they will contact us, and then the communities involved with a natural disaster, they will be now in alert mode. So the alert mode consists of the person's needs, the severity level, the amount of people affected, and it also has the same option where you can ask for their location and you can direct message them. And it also shows how far the user is away from that person who needs help. If you click on the victim's post, then it'll show the supplies that that certain victim has, so then the donors can ration how much supplies they give that person. And at the bottom is a donor post, so then they show how much they have. And this is a private post, it's not actually like displayed on the app. And the purpose of this is just in case a victim posts the same thing that a donor has, then they're immediately connected and the donor is notified.
So, now that you've seen what it does in a natural disaster setting, what does it do outside of that? Well, when it's no longer a natural disaster, it switches from alert mode to handy mode. In handy mode, hand in hand will still be working to connect members of a community and to build resilience. Articles, tutorials, and videos will show individuals how to better prepare for the next natural disaster. We have tutorials for things as simple as how to board up your windows and doors, and to things as complex as how to ration your food and maybe even some basic first aid. So, now that you've got that passed, what else can you do in handy mode? Well, most of the features available during natural disaster or alert mode are still available during handy mode, only transferred so that it's for everyday civilian use rather than disaster relief. So what are these features? The top three will be the posting and listings, the donations and fundraising, and the volunteering and receiving help from others. So, for example, let's say St. George's Baptist Church is planning a mission trip to South Africa next year, and they need $5,000 and 6 more volunteers. So first, they will post their listing on the public domain of Hand in Hand. Then several people will see it and apply to become volunteers, and when they still need the money, all they need to do is put up a fundraiser on Hand in Hand, and people from their community, from their province, from the entire country, and in a few short years, all over the world will be able to donate to their fundraiser along with any other fundraisers that they find interesting.
Now it's time to talk about revenue. Now, natural disasters, it's no time for bias. Therefore, it should be open to the general consumer. So we will have it as a free download. But how do we make revenue? Simple. We'll have a freemium process. It'll be free for the individuals and families to download, and they will get all the benefits of Hand in Hand. But
For our other targets, such as organizations, municipal governments, and 911 services, they will have to pay to register for the app. Now, you're probably wondering, why would they pay for it? Simple. It's their job to help us during a natural disaster. Some organizations exist specifically for natural disaster relief, and municipal governments get natural disaster funding. We are trying to tap into that. Now, it's not only just something for a community, it is a tool specifically for them. It helps them see what individuals need. People like the Red Cross, they give out generalized products, and that is not what we're out here to do. We're out here to help individuals, out here to help people help people. So when it's individuals, they will see what is happening, and they will get progress, and that will help them recover faster. If you know specifically what individuals need, then we can recover quicker, and you'll lose less money in the recovery process. So, for organizations, they'll have annual fees. For a small organization, they'll have to spend $50 annually. For a medium-sized organization, they'll spend $120 annually, and a large organization will be $300 annually. For municipal governments, governments and hamlets, they'll have to spend $1,500 annually. For towns, they'll have to spend $10,000 annually. Large towns, $30,000 annually. A city, $75,000 annually, and a large city, $150,000 annually. And lastly, 911 services such as fire and police departments. For a town, they'll have to spend $7,500 annually. A large town, $12,000 annually. A city, $22,500 annually, and a large city, $37,500 annually. Now, these numbers are based off the size of the town, and so obviously towns will have less people, so less money than a large city will, and so it's generalized to those people, so we can fund for enough people to have it. We'll also have alternate sources of revenue. On Hand in Hand, we'll have ad space. People can post events and their business, and for every 1,000 views, we'll get 50 cents, and we estimate that each individual will see about 10 ads per month.
So for marketing strategy, we have 4 P's of marketing, which are product, price, place, and promotion. As mentioned, our product is a unique, decentralized app that interconnects victims of natural disasters to ready-to-help donors. Our app mainly relies on connections between individuals. As a result, we're building stronger communities. Hand in Hand will be marketed as an innovative technology that aids in the preparation and recovery phases of all types of natural disasters. For the price, the global app economy is huge and diverse. More than 90% of the apps are free, making them readily accessible to consumers. Mobile users are 24% more likely to invest their time on free apps rather than paid ones. Therefore, Hand in Hand will have no installation costs, but it does contain 2 plans, basic and premium. Individuals and families will only require the free basic plan, as it includes the essential features such as handy mode and alert mode, while organizations and governments must pay for the premium plan, which includes extra features such as the discounted advertisement boost and other fundraising options.
So, in the launch of our app, it will the first phase will include press conferences as well as press releases to in the hope of getting our name out there, getting our app out there, as well as hopefully connecting with other organizations. By the 4th month, we actually hope to run a test trial in St. John's, Newfoundland, reason being because of the frequency of natural disasters that occur there. So for example, floods, landslides, as well as avalanches. Also, St. John's is a mid-sized community that has a high population density, making it an optimal area to acquire data as well as feedback from to further improve our app.
So after the 4th month and our testing in St. John's, we're going to be attracting a lot of media attention. So what are we going to do to capitalize off that attention to market it properly to the general public? Well, because a majority of our users are likely to be volunteers and able-bodied, many of our users will be either adults or young adults. For that reason, we will be focusing on that market using primarily internet-based marketing, such as social media marketing and affiliate marketing, as that's the most efficient way to market to said demographic. So, what do I mean by affiliate marketing? Well, hand in hand will contact and financially compensate certain individuals with a lot of influence. For example, social media influencers, YouTubers, and other small-scale celebrities who still have a lot of interactions with their audience. So we will provide them not only the resources to get there on site, but also provide them all of the things they will need once they get there, and to blog and to basically show their experience off with all of their audience. So as a young adult or just anybody with someone to look up to, seeing someone that you greatly look up to do something as simple as download an app and follow its instructions, but as impactful as helping somebody at a vulnerable time in their life, that can make a massive influence on said audience. So not only this, but after every single successful recovery phase within the first year of Hand in Hand, we will be holding a press conference in order to not only legitimize and show off capabilities and the features of our app, but also to acknowledge and reward certain volunteers who contributed a lot to the cause, and this will also incentivize future potential volunteers to come out and do the same thing.
Now we'll go on to market analysis. So our product will be going into the peer-to-peer market. Internationally, this market is expected to rise to a total of 335 million USD by 2025. Now, pre-existing companies existing within this market include Airbnb and Uber, which have become very successful in the past several years. An example of this, in 2015 and 2016, 9.5% of all Canadians over the age of 18 used Uber. Now, because of the success and the buzz within this market already, it will continue to grow and nurture new innovations and products such as our own. In addition to this, market statistics show us that most of the users are within the Generation Y, also known as the digital generation. Now, we have taken this into consideration when making our own target demographic, so we will be targeting Canadians from the age 18 to 45 to include this demographic and also include the population that owns smartphones.
Although Hand in Hand is a unique position with regards to the peer-to-peer market, it does still confront with competition including Airbnb, Kijiji, Facebook, and the Red Cross. However, Hand in Hand is a unique platform because it takes these services from all four of these companies and brings it all into one app so users only experience these once. So the first competitor is Airbnb. Airbnb has done so much in the past with regards to natural disasters. In the first week of a natural disaster, Airbnb will contact the hosts and ask them to provide or list free houses for the evacuees to seek in order to feel better after the aftermath. And our second competitor is Kijiji. Kijiji is Canada's largest classified site with millions of advertisements in a broad range of categories, including housing, services, and everything in between. And in 2017, Kijiji introduced a system called My Messages, which allows buyers and sellers to directly communicate with one another. However, our product is different than Kijiji because we work during times of natural disasters and during calm times, whereas Kijiji only works during times of natural disasters.
In 2017, Facebook introduced Crisis Response, a hub that helps people bring awareness to different crises around the world. It had more than 1 million Facebook users belong to a meaningful community group aimed at helping users. It is estimated that 770,000 people used Facebook to donate over $17 million in 1 week following the April 2015 earthquake in Nepal. Red Cross is a Canadian humanitarian charitable organization that provides assistance to Canadians experiencing an emergency or natural disaster. They supply essential services, family reunification, and emergency preparedness. Our app will use features from many different organizations, like the ones we have already listed, and uses them collectively in a unique way. One expansion we could also implement is partnering with these organizations to create an even stronger connection with the victims of natural disasters and volunteers.
So some barriers to entry we have identified are initially getting enough users on the app, and we will try and resolve this through our beta testing in St. John's and also our press releases to gain awareness and users on our app. Secondly, we've also identified that people may be wary of our app and we need to prove the trustworthiness of it. So we will be doing background checks on all people who apply for profiles, and we also have our complaints function so they can forward their complaints about any users that they find.
Next, we will be talking about the operations of Hand in Hand. Our staffing of Hand in Hand will be, of course, led by our president, Avery Norris. Underneath her, there will be 2 vice presidents. These vice presidents will look after the day-to-day management of Hand in Hand. Then will come customer service. Customer service is very important because they take in any complaints or things mentioned by the consumers about the product, whether it is a compliment to the product, such as a review, positive review, or they are pointing out a bug, which is then immediately reported to the tech staff. Then comes marketing and sales. Marketing and sales is also important because they look after raising the awareness of our product. By raising the awareness of our product, they are creating a larger consumer base. And this base is very important because without the base, we would not have a product. Then comes our Quality Assurance Manager. Quality Assurance Manager looks after each new update of the app, ensuring that it works fluidly with the preceding update and that there will be as few glitches and bugs as possible. Next is our Tech Officer. Our Tech Officer we are looking to hire in our 3rd year, and they will ensure that any kind of updates that we do to our app or any kind of technological issues we have at the office will be taken care of inside the company, and we won't have to hire outside companies to do our own work.
So, a company has identified our various legal issues that we may face. The first of which is data security. So on our app, the general public can access a user's general location, so that's their postal code area, with a click of a button. However, to access another user's exact location, so if they want to help out at their area, they would have to use a feature on our app called Request for Location. And what that allows is for the other person on the other end to accept and give consent for that. Also, if there's one active account limit to each profile, so if a user is on their account and another person tries to log on, that the original user will be logged out and will also be notified through text and email. And in the case of any violations in user guidelines, or if anyone feels harassed or unsafe, there's a reporting feature on every profile. And also in the registration phase, there will be a mandatory criminal background check, which will deter any potential perpetrators or any potential crime. And we'll be doing this by partnering with Checker, which is a third-party background check company. They have expressed that their values have lined up with ours, and also they're currently partnered with Uber, so that further implies that they're safe and reliable.
So now we're moving on to the financial forecast. So our first financial operation that will be taking place will be getting loans. And so we'll be getting $235,000 worth of loans. And they could be broken down into 4 different kinds of loans. First, we have our short-term loans. Then second, we have our long-term loans. Next, we have our equipment loans. And finally, we have our operational loans. And so the first year of doing business incurs many expenses. So we're unable to achieve our break-even point in our first year, which is getting about 42.4 municipal government customers on average. But we're able to achieve our break-even point in November of the second year. And so this leaves room for us for about 1 year until the end of year 3 to get a net profit. And so we forecast our net profit after 3 years to be about $1.288 million. So how do we get such a big net profit in just over a year? We do this by putting in a lot of hard work into marketing and also visiting the municipal government customers that potentially want to use our app and make a profile. And so as you can see listed on the screen to the left, we are forecasting to get about 12 municipal customers in the first year, 24 in the second year, and 30 in the third year to total 66 in 3 years. So now let's take a look at our annual revenue and our expenses. So as we can see, the revenue in our first year is lower than our expenses by about $300,000. But our revenue jumps up in year 2 due to the significant increase in our municipal government customers, as well as the year 1 customers who are returning to pay their annual fee. And so as we can see, in year 3, our revenue increases furthermore, and the expense and revenue gap increases positively. So where do our expenses come from? So this is a list of our most important monthly expenses. So these 6 monthly expenses account for most of our expenses throughout our business. So the first one is ads, and as we can see, the ad expenses goes up year by year, and this is because as we increase our user base and we get more municipal government customers, we want to make sure that we could continually get new users and new customers at a fast yet sustainable rate. This ultimately means increasing our ad expenses. Next, we have salary. So salary expenses are the same for year 1 and 2, but different in going up for year 3, and that's because we're hiring a tech officer in year 3. And so next, we have our security check clearance, and so the numbers listed above were provided by a quote from Checker, and also we could see that the expenses are increasing year by year, and that's because we're getting more and more users every year, and so each user has a fixed expense, and so it's increasing year by year. And next, we have our travel expenses. Travel expenses are also increasing year by year because, as I said, we're planning on visiting every municipal government that wants to be a potential customer, and so we're going to help them explain the app, set it up for them, and also tell them how to use it effectively. Next, we have rent, which stays the same throughout the 3 years, as well as we have our server costs. So we plan on getting 1 server for the first year, and then purchasing another one for the second year, and then 2 more for year 3. So this leaves us with a cash amount of $1.4 million at the end of the 3 years. And so with this much amount of money in our account after 3 years of business, this gives us a lot of room for expanding our business, both in the Canadian market and potentially internationally. And also gives us room to increase our staff, such as in the area of customer support and as well as tech development and research. And we can also use this number to get more servers and get more tech maintenance and support. And hopefully we're able to get a government contract. And so this amount of money after 3 years will be able to help us cover the increased expenses that we foresee in the future. So thank you for listening to our presentation.
Great job, everyone.
Yeah, really nice work. So first of all, I just want to commend you on picking a business that has a values, morals-based foundation to it. Cause-related marketing is really popular these days and growing in popularity. So I think it's a strategic thing to choose from a business perspective, but it's also a really good thing to choose from a moral ownership perspective. So good for that. And I love your motto. I thought it was really nicely put together and made the opening of the presentation really grab my attention for sure. So a couple of questions. First of all, I wanted to ask if the app is available in different languages.
Obviously, we're starting in Canada. We wanted to focus on Canada, and Andrew did say that we'd be expanding internationally, and we would be focusing on changing it into different languages. It's something we definitely look into. But it is important. We said it was accessible to everyone, so it is something we definitely look into. And yeah, I think we would have it in at least French. We'd have it in both of the main Canadian languages.
Thank you. My other question for you was related to your revenue structure around municipalities and different organizations who you think might be willing to pay for the app. Did you do any research on that and call or get in touch with any of those types of organizations to see what their willingness or appetite might be to pay for an app for their community.
All right, so when they pay for the app, they're paying for the infrastructure. We're providing this massive scale of communication that they can have with every citizen, right? But in terms of actually asking them what number they will bite at, we didn't really exactly do that. But looking into it, it's actually somewhat of a steal. For every single day that a government has to spend recovering, they're losing revenue in terms of taxes. They have to pour money into making sure that the economy, that everything is ready for the economy to go back in full swing. So even for a small city like 200,000 people in population or 300,000 in population, they're losing up to $1 million every single year. Pardon me, every single day they have to work on disaster relief. So for just paying a few $100,000 for a full year subscription, they actually save money just by having one disaster happen and having us reduce the recovery time, because our recovery time, we're mainly focused on reducing recovery time for any natural disaster, and we can reduce it by up to 5 to 10%, which can be anywhere from a day to even a week, depending on the situation.
Thank you.
Oh, I just want to add one point. We're mainly marketing towards areas that are very prone to natural disasters. So we looked into some communities, such as St. John's, that were very prone to natural disasters. So we came up with a few other ones that we'd like to hit first. So this included areas in BC, such as Kelowna for wildfires, Calgary for flooding, Fort McMurray because there's still recovery, so because our app is mainly for the recovery process, as well as Gaspé in Quebec, like a little bit up north for flooding as well. So these were some of the cities that we were planning on contacting first when we set up our business.
Thank you. And then my only other question was related to advertising. You mentioned that there would be some limited advertising, but did you look at other successful advertising models that may eliminate the need for you to have to charge users at all? If you could generate enough revenue through advertising to sustain your business model.
Well, advertising, especially online advertising, isn't the same thing that it was 10 years ago. When the first pop-up ad came up in the late 90s, I think it had a click rate of around 99 point something percent. Well, meanwhile now, any person who's grown up in the last, I guess, millennia, like grew up since the 21st century, basically when they see an ad or a pop-up ad, they can easily distinguish it's an ad and just kind of block it and filter it out of their view. So in terms of ad revenue, we can't really be fully sustained based off ad revenue because ads just don't make too much money, especially on applications. And if we were to bring it to the scale in which it would be making a suitable amount of money, there would just be pop-up ads every 5 seconds, and that would not be good for any of our users who are trying to get disaster recovery steps.
Thank you.
I would like to add in that I did do some research on like the finances of ads. So like we said earlier, pop-up ads, like banner ads, they're 5 cents per every 1,000 views. A video ad only work on a click rate. So say it's a video ad for an application for your phone, it would be about 37 cents if they clicked on the video ad, and then it would be a further $2.50 if they then downloaded it after they clicked. So it is on the very slim chance that any viewer would click on the ad, you'd only be making 37 cents per ad, and if you got very lucky and they downloaded it, then you'd only be making a little less than $3.
Start off by saying excellent job. That was a really well thought out and prepared presentation, so great work everyone. First thing I want to jump into is you talk about a 3-tiered system where there's a donor, a recipient, and a driver. Can you tell me a bit more about why you felt there was a need for an intermediary or a driver?
One of the biggest concerns that we found was how were we going to get the product to the person, and we were wondering how could we do that because we don't have boots on the ground and we're not there for them, and it could be a distance, and someone who may want to help may not have a car. If it's a 15-year-old like one of the Shads, and they want to help, but they don't have their driver's license, so they can't drive. So having that driver can connect people to recipient to donor. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely.
To add on that, the supplier can actually also be the driver, so like they can click off if they want to be the driver, so they don't actually need the intermediary itself.
Absolutely. Just to add to that, I think there's a missed opportunity there for the business itself, and I know you want to be primarily out of the picture and let it be autonomous, but I think there's an opportunity there for a delivery option that can be run through your organization, where you could have a delivery versus pickup option, where you could, for a small fee that could either come through ad revenue or through donations, you could also offer to deliver the product yourself at a small fee. Sorry. I thought there was a welcome to that. Looking at your pricing strategy, very well done and well thought out. I just had a quick question though. I noticed you talked about pricing ranging from $50 to $300 per non-corporate organizations, $1,500 to $150,000 annually for municipal governments, and then you talked about $7,500 to $37,000 for police and fire. I wonder if you want to expand on like what you meant by that a bit, because I mean a lot of those responding organizations like local police departments are actually covered under the municipal government. So I'm wondering if you guys were looking at maybe national or provincial, or if you just thought that they were separate entities.
Well, the main thing was that if you look at, for example, Twitter accounts, during a natural disaster, it's not just the municipal government that is tweeting about things to do. It's also the local fire department and also the police department. So the main thing is, like, when we provide them this infrastructure and this form of communication, we need to set up 3 separate places, like accounts just for the municipal government, for the police, and for the fire department. So obviously the 3 will be connected and they will easily be able to communicate in between, but just by having those separate, well, not exactly separate entities, but having each one have their own account and their own specialty, we feel that it would be much more efficient and better. And the only reason that we put it as different pricing was just to show like that we needed to to set up different accounts for them. When it comes to actually the municipal government purchasing the plan, it'll be in a bundle, unless there's something weird going on in which the police department isn't actually connected to the government.
Right, and then they'd allocate it to different resources around the community.
Yeah, precisely.
Okay, makes sense. Third question, in terms of actual financial donations and crowdsourced funding of financial contributions to people in need, was there any mention of where the money is held, how it's securely transferred to people, and who oversees that, since you're totally autonomous?
Well, within the first few years, we can't fully rely on developing our own system for that, so it'll primarily be done from a third-party application such as PayPal. But as said, after the 3 years, we will be generating up to like $1.3 million in revenue, and from there we can use that into R&D and develop our own system so that we don't have to outsource it.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you everyone for watching it, and that brings us our presentations to a close. I would like to particularly thank our TSC people for staying up late with us, Roy and his assistant there, Sean, thank you. Sean is behind the big screen. Thank you for doing this every year, and it's a great opportunity for the parents to see what the Shads have been doing here. So thanks once again for our judges to be here, to take time out and be here. Thank you.